Hey guys. All right, now we're beginning. So this is actually one that I've wanted to do for a while now. Oh shoot, I forgot to pull out the chat. Hey guys. Just give me a moment here. Hey, listen, if you guys don't want me to forget anything, you can pay for my Adderall, okay? And then I will never forget everything. I will be wired 24/7. There we go. All right, so this is a SEAmaxxing stream I've looked forward to for a long time because we've had a lot of guys that I've interacted with over the past few years that are really sold on Southeast Asia being a great spot to go to if you are in the situation that we're in. Now, the thing is, what you see if you go onto YouTube and you look up like Latin America, Southeast Asia, East Asia in general, anywhere else that's not the West, you're going to get a lot of people that try and sell you a lot of shit. And they will try and tell you that the dating situation is what the red pillars will try and make you believe, that everything is super easy. It doesn't matter if you're like 5'3" and 50 years old, you can get 20-year-olds falling all over you. And the truth is that while that is true, that it is easier, it's all relative. In reality, there are limitations based on your looks, based on your age. The age pill is still a thing there, even though it's not as severe. Based on your national origin, and there are expectations that are different from these women from these backgrounds compared to what we have here. And for example, if we're talking about long-term stuff, you'll notice that a lot of women, if we're going to show interest in Western guys, they're going to be expecting you to be more liberal-minded than their own men, on average, for example. Like typically like the kind of women that would be conservative naturally are going to be more ethnocentric as well. These are a lot of things that we don't talk about in these discussions. You just hear people trying to sell you how wonderful things are, and maybe they'll give you some information about cost of living, etc. And like, oh, here's how you prepare. Don't be unprepared, but everything else will work out. And no, you have to understand where you're coming from, where you're at, what your options are based on like race, based on national origin, age, money that you have coming in, the risks that are at play here, because you have to realize that you are not going to be guaranteed protection in these countries the way that you would be in your own national origin country. As in, like, not necessarily that it's dangerous, but if there's a legal dispute in some of these countries, especially places like the Philippines, you could end up getting shafted, or you could end up on the losing end because you're an outsider. They don't operate with fairness in mind necessarily. These are all these sort of things we're going to be talking about, and we have Ayebo on again, who is one of the best guys when it comes to this stuff, because he has the most experience out of all of us. Yeah, if there's anything you'd like to talk about, Ayebo, you can take the floor on it.
Okay. Hi. So welcome everybody. Hi Raymond, big fan here. You should consider AsianMaxxing because I think I could pass as a clone of yourself. Yeah, I'm pretty similar looking to you, and I have a much better success in Asia than I have in the West. So consider this for a moment. Yeah, and then like okay, not well. There's a western part of Asia, right? So I would probably not go to Japan or to South Korea, right? Or any of the Western allies over there in Asia. Yeah, especially the rich ones. So I wouldn't go there because that's basically just like the West with all of the problems. It's just like the West but with Asian people. Yeah, just look at South Korea. It's a dystopian nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. Raymond's with us, which is awesome. It's great to see you. I know that we've understood that you're a little more ambivalent on the geomaxing thing, and I would say it also depends on where you're from too. Like if I were American, there'd be more of a divide there in my mind, because even though America has enormous problems, it's not Canada. Like Canada, there's almost no, when I'm doing a cost benefit analysis and I'm like, ooh, this is what would be trading off in terms of quality of life, etc. When it comes to if I were to live full time somewhere, even like poorer, like the Philippines, be like, well, I mean, Canada, we're effectively Punjab with snow at this point. So what exactly am I losing here? You can't get a decent job anyways. The cost of living is so high that your quality of life is basically like second world tier, lower half of second world tier. So it's like, yeah, whatever. And yeah, that's another thing. If I had the First Amendment, I think it's the First Amendment, right? Right to bear arms, First Amendment, or is it the Second Amendment?
Yeah.
It's first or second. If I had the right to bear arms, yeah, that'd be another thing, because that really gives you a certain feeling of independence that you wouldn't get elsewhere. And that actually, this is something that I was going to talk about on the Latin American stream. I'll bring it up now, just as like a preview, because I'm not sure if this applies in Southeast Asia, but I do know it applies in Latin America because of how dysfunctional and unstable their governments are. You get put into a situation where the government is basically unable to enforce the laws outside of the capital city. And even then, the laws are barely enforced. So basically, like everybody that you interact with has an understanding in their mind that if they wanted to kill you, there's a good chance they could get away with it. And they know that the same is true for you towards them. And I think this creates a certain kind of mutual respect that exists, that doesn't exist in countries where we have this police state that can just swoop down and prevent people. It's like being in a sandbox in the playground versus being out in the real world. It creates a different psychology in your mind. I think that being in a situation where there's this omnipresent police force that can just prevent people from harming each other or taking things too far, I think this allows people psychologically to feel like they're beyond. They're like it's like a sense of impunity. It's like it's like when you ban bullying and then you have these kids that are completely insufferable because they've never been bullied once in their life. It's kind of the same thing. Maybe that's a controversial take in these circles, but this is something that occurred to me when it comes to a lot of these Latin American countries. I think this is to a lesser extent, but still true in the United States with the First Amendment. Anyways, that's a bit of a digression, but yeah.
Mercer, 9 out of 10 people actually approve of. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so. I remember arguing in one of my older videos that the decline in standard of living is actually going to be kind of a crypto good thing. It's going to be like a silver lining in some ways, because the standard of living falling and things getting more unstable and the policing becoming more erratic, it allows the same sort of situation in Latin America that exists in it would cause the same Latin American situation to exist in America, which we've seen some previews of it. Like during the BLM riots, you had these weird situations where the white people would be like literally doing these weird worshipful ceremonies on the one hand, and then on the other hand, when the BLM rioters would attempt to break into Mexican neighborhoods, they would just get shot at by the Mexican gangs, who were just like, "You're not coming in our barrios, or we're gonna put bullets in you." That sort of psychology existed once, and it's just gone now in Western countries. So that may come back. But anyways, that was a huge digression. You know, obviously the topic is Southeast Asia, so we should probably zone back in on that. There's something that I wanted to ask you, Agepill. You said that it's not just as simple as, you know, going to Southeast Asia in general. It's pretty much just going to be easier for you, and maybe poorer countries are easier to deal with than wealthier countries. It's more complicated than that, right? Because I remember you mentioning multiple times in the past that it's almost like a tier system where if you want to get a wife, there are certain countries that you go to. If you want to have like a dating experience, but not necessarily, that could lead to like a marriage, but not necessarily, it's a little more flexible, there's another branch of countries for that. And then for countries where it's very sort of loose and you know, a loose cannon way of dealing with things, but if that's your vibe, then those are the kind of countries you could go to. I remember you talking about that. There's like these three streams. Could you elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, so in my experience, and also like from what I read on those Reddit forums, right, the digital nomad forums, and all of the YouTubers, also they give you, of course, like also helpful advice. But as you said, Mercer, many of them try to sell a product, right, a consultation, whatever, a book, whatever. So you never get like the real knowledge from them, I would say. So yeah, anyway, so well, I would say let's divide it in by three, yeah. So you are looking, let's say you are looking for a wife, I would definitely put Vietnam on top, right? Because in my experience, Vietnam is like, it reminds me a lot of the old system in Eastern Europe, right? They are still communistic, right? They opened up, yes, of course, you can buy Coca-Cola and McDonald's everywhere on this planet now, right? But I think they closed down. I think they shut down McDonald's in Vietnam. That's the last thing that I heard. So they are like, the culture there is pretty much like in the, before communism fell in the East, right? And so the women there, I mean, they are really like it's frowned upon to be like to have several partners. They are married statistically longer from what I saw, yeah, and they are just more reliable as a partner. And also, if you date them, the Vietnamese women, they will not go with you. They will not ask you if they can sleep at your place at the end of the first meeting, yeah. So it is like it's a societal, how to say, yeah, it's a norm, you know, and they follow these rules because they don't want to be seen as like a bad person, right? And then like even doing it with a foreigner will stigmatize them even more, yeah. So if you're looking for a serious dating, I think Vietnam is really up there. But the negatives are that it's like, it reminds me a lot of a former communist country. Yeah, there is everything you need. Of course, now, as I said, everything is westernized. There is McDonald's and Coca-Cola everywhere, right? So, but the women, the people there are very, very conservative. Yeah, that's what the country reminded me of. On the contrary, you have the Philippines, yeah, which may be a good choice for Americans, yeah, or Canadians, or probably even the English. Because the Filipinos, they really love the Americans. Because the Americans, they kicked the Japanese out. They ended the Japanese occupation of the Philippines, right? So they are seen as big friends, yeah, as allies. So like the Filipinos really love America and the people, the Americans, and the American way of life, and they are very westernized, and their English is very good. They even play like 60s or 70s rock and roll a lot on Filipino radio stations. So just for an example, and but the women there, they are really hypergamous, yeah. And it one of the reason I think is because there are less foreigners over there, yeah, compared to Thailand, yeah, and probably even China and Japan, whatever. So, and the people there and the women there, they are really poor, right? So once they date a foreigner, yeah, let's say a Westerner, they really try to lock him down. So that's it. They are not like they are not like doing this to have fun. They are doing this to just take the guy off the market. Yeah. And they are very, very active. You know, they are like asking you like, hey, that it was a nice date. Can I sleep tonight at your place because it's a long way home? Yeah, and things like that. So that's your place to go when you wanna have a girlfriend, right? Or you wanna get, let's call it what it is, easy lace. Yeah. So Thailand for me is somewhat in the middle. Yeah. Dating is not easy. Yeah, but it's much easier than in the West. But compared probably to Philippines and to Indonesia, yeah, it's somewhere in the middle, yeah. But then again, like every country has more to offer, right? So you also have to talk about this. You cannot only say, I want a wife, I want to go to Vietnam, right? You cannot say, I just want to have girlfriends, many girlfriends, probably a rotation like a Chad, right? And I will go to Indonesia or I will go to Philippines. Because like outside of this dating and mating and all of this, you're gonna spend a lot of time outside of this, right? And then it's important how you like the culture, how you like the behavior of the people, because that's related. What public transport they are offering, right? What your budget is, and so on and so on. So the dating aspect is like basically only, well, how much time can you spend with dating and mating, right? You will find yourself like spending time with other things to do. Yeah. So choosing a country only because it has the best dating options may be, I don't know, somewhat like detrimental for your overall happiness, you know? Because that's what I feel like many geomaxers are searching for, right? Even the older ones I just met, they are just tired, sick and tired of the West. Yeah, they just left. Many of them left 20 years ago when all of this, let's call it managed decline, right, Mercer? When all of this managed decline started. Yeah. And another
Yeah,
yeah, and another
exactly. Do you mind? I just want to interrupt just for a second here. Raymond sent me $30. Thank you very much, Raymond. I really appreciate it. Good to see you streaming. Well, it's awesome
Guys,
that
it
you're
might
here.
sound bad.
I wasn't expecting that at all. It was completely unexpected, so it's excellent. Anyways,
might sound
anyway, we'll
okay.
go on.
It
I
might
can
sound
hear you.
okay.
Yes.
You can hear? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If it gets bad, then just let me know and I'll mute myself.
Yeah, no
All
problem.
right.
So go ahead.
Yeah.
So Ayebo, question. How long would you say, and like I get that there's probably not just like a clear answer, but try to give as like a clear, concise answer as possible. But how long would you say that you have to live in these countries in order to get any success? Like, can you just go for a week? Do you have to like keep going back? Like, could you need to go for a month? Like, how long
Well,
do you need to stay in these countries?
well, if you are a tourist, right, probably like half of the women or your dating options will just not accept the deal, right? Because they will say like, ah, he's a tourist, I don't want to even date him. Okay. Then there may be some of these women who of course will still try it, you know, just to lock you down and to hope that you will be back, right? Probably in 6 months on your next vacation or something like that, you know. Or probably, and we all know, we all heard about this is this scam going on with a lot of in a lot of Asian countries. that you have this long distance relationship, yeah, and your girlfriend or so-called girlfriend will ask you to send her a monthly amount of money, right? Some allowance or something to help her pay the cost of living she has in those countries. So yeah. So as I said, you're probably cut your options down by half of these women who are saying, okay, he's a tourist, why do I want to date him? But some of them will still agree to date you in the hope that they can really like lock you down, and you will visit them regularly, or you even take them to the West, right? Because that's, let's say you're not a digital nomad, you don't do any of a remote or a digital work, right? Then, well, your option, one of the option is taking that woman out of Asia and taking her to your country, right? But by doing that, a whole new set of other problems will arise. So I would advise as long as possible, and then go and scout. Yeah, check it out, be there. I think even 3 weeks or a month, right? Because you will like adapt. You're not a tourist, you will not move around. Yeah, and you will see how life there is. Yeah, so I think 3 weeks, I would say 1 month, and you have around like a rough idea of the place, and if you like it or not. You use the public transport, you see how much traffic there is, you see how people behave, you taste the food, you see what venues there are, you will see how many matches you will get, right? You will see how many of these matches are serious or not. Yeah, and then even you can do some work before going there, right? You just download Tinder or whatever, Bumble or any of these apps. There is even local apps, right? So for example, Thai Friendly is a Thailand only app. There is some Philippines only app, and so on, and so dating apps, and you just match and write with women there before you visit that country. So you have done most of the work, you see.
Okay, so a month is what you're saying. Like that's the one answer is like
yeah,
a month. Okay,
I
but
would say
2 months.
3 weeks to 1 month, I would say. Yes.
Okay, so this isn't necessarily something that's feasible for someone that has like a super busy schedule and just like wants to get laid. I mean, maybe that's possible in like the Philippines, but in like mainland Southeast Asia, if you just want to like get laid, going for a week is probably not such a sure thing, would you say?
Well, if you just want to get laid, right, there is other venues you can visit, right, and they are available in every country. But well,
not every country.
all right, not every country, right? Yeah, so I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about like the girlfriend experience, or even looking for a wife, right? And like something serious, anything bit from a girlfriend to a wife. I'm talking about this. And as I said, you can do all of the work before by downloading these apps, setting your location to the city, the country you want to visit, yeah, and then start chatting with them and see like how what's your success rate, right? What kind of girl can you get, right? Is she, how good is she looking, like how educated is she, right? What's her job, how is her English level, and so on and so on. So and then once you are there, you already like have a few contacts, and then you meet up, right? So yeah, that's how I would do it if you are limited on time. Yeah. The other option is, of course, moving there. So either you do a remote job, like all of these digital nomads. It's getting more and more people who work digitally nowadays, right? And the other work is you find a job there. So either you find one of your a Canadian and American company there, and you hire with them, and you apply for a position there, for example, right? Or you
And you're
just
not going to be getting paid like a American salary if you're like taking a job in Thailand.
of
And then you're
course
not going
not.
to have them. Yeah, so then you're just going to be like a poor,
Not
like a poor
necessarily.
show.
No, not necessarily, because those Western companies, those foreign companies, the Korean companies, the Japanese companies, the Western companies in Thailand, and also in other countries they pay well. So you get more than let's say you're an engineer, you'll get more, you get twice the salary than a Thai engineer, for example. Yeah, you won't get your Western salary, but you're still can have a can pay your Western lifestyle. Yeah.
Hey, Abo, I have a question for you. Can we talk about, well, first of all, Raymond was asking who exactly is on the call here. We have Mirami Jeeks, who has been my co-host since the first Copium Den, and Aibo is a regular guest. And this is his element here. This is perfect for him when it comes to topics. He knows more about this than I think anyone else. So yeah, so this is great. I was gonna ask you though, Aibo, a bunch of elements to Thai society and that makes the dating market a lot slimmer for women than you would expect. Could you go into those?
But first, let me shortly address the chat, right? Good luck getting a fully remote job, right? And even in coding, they want a hybrid, a 1 to 3 day in the office. Yes, I agree on this.
Yeah,
right?
I think fully remote jobs aren't as common as like some people would believe.
That's true, but
I don't.
Sorry.
They're very hard to get too, because a fully remote job, like you're not just competing like with the people in like your city or whatever. You're competing with like the whole country. So like any remote job, like you're gonna be fighting tooth and nail to get it. Job, bro, is really realistic. So I think like realistically, like people are gonna be taking a trip. They're not gonna be able to move there. You know, it's not realistic for probably 95% of people to straight up move to Thailand or even go for a month. I think maybe 2 weeks is probably like the longest realistically like the typical person could go to one of these countries for, because most jobs don't give that much vacation. And
yeah, so the thing is I agree, but then again, okay, I read a lot of Reddit / digital nomads, etc. And there was one big thread where people were talking, and the consensus was that basically half of those digital nomads are faking it. All right, they are not allowed actually to work outside of their country or the country of their companies, right? They are not allowed, but they still do. And so VPN is your friend here. All right. And then I also know a guy, he works like he has an agreement with his company to go once a month into the office, which more or less actually means he goes like every second month or whatever into the company. And then he spends 2 months in Asia. And then he flies back home, visits the company for like 3 weeks in a row or something. And then he doesn't visit the company for another 2 months.
So
you see,
you have to be nocturnal essentially if you're working remotely, like out of an American-based company in Asia.
Right.
So that's something also to keep in mind, is that you have to be willing to be nocturnal, and I don't know if everyone's willing to do that.
Well, the time difference from Europe to Asia and also to South America is like 5 hours plus to Asia. Asia is 5 now in the summertime. In the wintertime, it's a 6 hours difference. And for an European to geomaxx to South America, to Latin America, that's 5 hours, 6 hours earlier. So Europe is in the sweet.
It's not as bad for Europe, but for American cells, you're going to have to straight up be nocturnal.
You could do this, therefore, like you would, because it's almost a 12-hour difference to Asia, right? So you would work like, until, now what is it? 8 in the evening, right? Until over midnight, until probably 5 in the morning, right? Then go to sleep, and then you would have the afternoon and the night not the afternoon basically that's your free time, right? And then you would need to work again from 8 in the evening until 5 in the morning over midnight. It's manageable. I mean, there's people doing a night shift, right? For some people, from some Americans or Canadians, they say it's worth it. Yeah, right? So you have to adapt, of course. And then there's others who are like they have like a flexible working time, right? So they just like postpone their work like a little earlier or a little later. So as I said, there are the American and the Western, the Canadian and the American digital nomads in Asia. Yeah, they have this problem, but many of them, I talk to them, they still say it's worth it. Yeah, because you still have the afternoon, right? It's your free time. Yeah. So all right. So it's as I said, like half of the digital nomads are faking it, right? They are using VPN. They are not actually allowed by their companies to work outside of the countries of the company's country, right? But they still do it. So that's a fact. You can make of it what you want, right? So that's all I'm trying to tell you. So yeah. So Mercer, what was the question again? Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I just realized that I'm muted. Okay, so what I was asking was, the average age in Thailand is actually quite high compared to what you would expect, but the dating situation actually isn't that bad. So the amount of men available for women isn't as big of an oversupply as you might think, or even an oversupply at all. And there are some Thailand unique or Thailand specific confounding factors here. So I'd like you to talk about that.
So, um, so the thing is, well, yeah, they are getting older. I don't know, Mercer. Probably you pull up a stat? Can you look for like what the replacement the birth rate is? Right. I think it's slightly below replacement level even for Thailand.
Yeah,
But the culture is very specific, right? It's like, okay, so there are like how much, like let's say 500,000 to 1,000,000 lady boys, yeah, then there's another 500,000 gay guys, yeah, and there is probably 500,000 to 1,000,000 monks, right? So that's basically they have 2 or 3 million men which just are not interested in women or are not allowed to date, right? So that means that there's a lot more women in Thailand available on the, let's call it, on the dating market than men, right? And they really have a lot of lady boys. They also have gay people, yeah, and queer people, and also the monks. So that takes away like 2, probably 3 million of men, let's say two, of their population, yeah, which are not interested in dating women or are not allowed to date women. So this makes Thailand a really, so these women really compete, yeah, they really compete for male attention, right? It's a surplus of available women on the market, okay? And Thailand, together with Malaysia, so Bangkok in Thailand and Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, is famous all over the world for plastic surgery, okay? And it's not only foreigners going there, even rich Arabs are going for plastic surgeries to Bangkok and to Malaysia, to Kuala Lumpur, to KL. So also the locals do it, right? And this should tell you like everything about the dynamics, yeah? So again, it's a lot more women, and the competition is so harsh that a lot of these women do plastic surgeries to improve their value on the dating market. And this is happening in a country where the average salary is not as high as the Western salary, you see? So they still manage to save the money to pay the plastic surgeries. That's very interesting.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that was something else I was going to ask you about. And it's the elephant in the room. The ladyboy phenomenon is not only in Thailand, it's most well known in Thailand, but this is a thing that seems to be throughout Southeast Asia. And it's quite strange and off-putting for a lot of guys. But on the other hand, it's quite a bit different from our situation with the LGBTQ trans lobby problem that we have, right? Like they tend to be pretty open about their status, let's say. This isn't something that they hide or dissimulate, where they pretend that
Yeah.
they're biological women. So it seems like it's something that's a lot more tolerable, right?
Yes, especially in Thailand, it's really part of their culture, right? It's so far back reaching that people don't even like criticize it or think about it. So there are stories of like kings having a harem of lady boys, etc. So it's really part of their culture, and it's like fully integrated. Like basically, no Thai person will ever like say something bad about gay people or lazy, or especially lady boys, etc., etc. So, for I can give you an example, right? So there was well, whoever organized this. I mean, we all know who organizes. It's basically NGOs and these organizations, right? And they try to organize LGBTQ LGBTQ protest in the center of Bangkok. Yeah, and this protest was just ended. It just ended after like 2 hours or something. Yeah, because it was basically 10 lady boys or 20 lady boys and 5 queer people there. Yeah, with some rainbow flags. Yeah, that was the LGBTQ protest in Bangkok, Thailand. You see? Because why should a Thai ladyboy even go there, right? If he's fully integrated in the society. So that society is actually tolerant towards these people and fully accepts them, while we are just pretending to do it. And then we come up with such fake movements all of the time, like LGBTQ and all of this. And I bet you that these people who demonstrated, the 20 ladyboys and probably 10 queer guys. It was only a very few of them. No one was interested. Not much of the media showed up, and the Bangkok Post just wrote about it, and then they closed the article by saying after 2 or 3 hours, like everyone went home, and that's it. And I bet you that these people who showed up were probably paid by the one or the other NGO. Yeah, just like here in the West. Yeah, so you see, they have they really integrate those people. It's like they accept them. And see, it's not like you don't have to have a movement, if you are accepted in a country.
Oh, hang on.
So
Hang on. Is the audio still working? Hello? Hello?
I
can
hear
you
you.
fine.
Yeah, we're on Discord. Hang on. Let's see here.
Did we get nuked?
I don't think so. Oh no, I'm having some connection issues. Give me a little bit here.
Yeah, and I remember you said that the lady boys announced themselves.
Wait on that.
Wait.
We're having some issues with the connection. Hang on. I may have to just a second here. Are we back? Hello?
Chat, can you hear us?
Yeah, yo, hello. Are we good?
Write in the chat if you can hear us.
Yeah. See, hello. No, it's on my end. It's on my end. Son of a bitch. Yeah, yo, the internet is horrible here in Canada. Are we good? Let's see. It looks like it's saying on my end that it's doing a little better. Hello, how are we doing?
Yeah, chat, just inform us if
Okay.
there is
Yeah, Yeah, this is Gulag Internet. We're basically the Soviet Union, but with much fatter women and Indians. Anyways, sorry about that. Are you able to pick up where you left off there, Iabo?
Like, I mean, again, like, yeah, the lady boy and the queer people, they are totally accepted in society. I don't ever heard or saw or experienced the type person like getting in trouble with them, you know. And that's why they don't need things like LGBTQ or
Yeah,
any other.
but we get it. We get it. Um, would you say things have been getting worse in Southeast Asia within the past like 5 years or so, or has it kind of been the same? Like, would you say they're just maybe like 20 years behind the West, or is it just like a different animal altogether?
Well, it's different in every country, right? I mean, Philippines is super underdeveloped, right? I was in Manila. They have basically two sky trains, and half of the city is just like a ghetto. Yeah. Thailand is actually pretty well developed. Their highways are great. Yeah. The infrastructure then there's only Bangkok. So basically only Bangkok has a metro system which is brand new. It's 10 years old, yeah, and a SkyTrain system, and they keep constantly extending the SkyTrains. They add like 2 new lines every year, yeah. So Bangkok is still growing, yeah. I know that
Okay.
Thailand had an economic boost for the last 20 years or something, and then it stopped. But overall, a lot of things are built in Thailand and especially in Bangkok. So while in the Philippines, I don't know if ever something is built in the Philippines. So it's totally different. Altogether, well, I would say probably Asia has a great future ahead, right? Because you just have to look at their starting point, yeah, where they are now and where they can get to, you know. And a lot of people don't know. For example, I can give an example. I mean, Thailand is only famous for tourism, yeah, but they have their own oil resources, right? They have like I think like more than half, like I heard like 60 or 70% of hard disk drives are produced in Thailand. So that shows you that they have a certain amount of engineers and factories. And I know that Thailand supplies the neighbor countries, the poorer neighbor countries, Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, etc., with tech, right? With engineering and machines. So they are doing really well. And I think if this goes on, they may develop even more in the future, which of course may also increase the cost of living there. Yeah, the
So
other Southeast Asian
I'm
countries.
more talking about like with the foids. Like, is it getting harder to get foids, or does it
Okay,
like kind
so
of stay the same?
it depends on you and what you are looking for, right? Do you want the wife? Do you want the girlfriend? Do you just want
No, I
the
mean like I mean like are the gender dynamics like getting worse in the past few years, or have they like kind of stayed the same? Because I
I'm
get that like different countries like girlfriend versus wife and all that, but like are the overall gender dynamics just in terms of like men being able to access females at all getting worse? Because in the West we're
well.
in the situation where a lot of Zoomers just completely like
Oh
written
yeah.
off by Floyd.
Okay, I fully understand it now. Okay, so this was one of my observations. Yeah, when I take the public transport in Bangkok, I'm talking about Thai couples now, about local couples, okay? I see a lot of local couples that are not only looks matched, yeah, but even height matched, meaning the guy is probably, some of the guys are even like 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, 3, 4 centimeters smaller than the girl, yeah. On average, the Thai man, these couples, the Thai guy is probably 3, 4 centimeters taller than the girl. Most of these couples, you know, and they are looks matched. Really, they are almost height matched and they are looks matched. Yeah, and there's a lot of them. Yeah, um, and let's only talk about now about the population, the age range where it matters, right? About the 15 to 30-year-olds, right? Because in Thai culture, you should be married when you are between 25 or latest at 30. So we look at that's overall on this planet, right? You should have the most dating and the most experience from, let's say, from 15 to 30, right? And I see so many couples in Bangkok, and again, they are looks matched and they are almost height matched. And when I come back to the West, I see only tall guys with small women and way fewer couples. I see a very, very few looks and height matched couple, not like in Thailand, your average couple here in Europe. It's always, most of the time, a tall guy with a short woman. Yes. So that shows you that they're dating for what they're dating.
So it hasn't gotten worse in like the past like 5 years, because
No.
I've heard that too. Is that like okay? That good to know.
Mm-hmm. It has probably get worse for foreigners, right? Probably this economic development in Thailand. I mean, hi Mehdi.
Mhm.
Mehdi just joined. He can talk about this. As I said, every year they build two new SkyTrain lines. Now all parts of Bangkok are connected. There is a mall. Bangkok is full of malls, and they build additional malls. So there's constant construction going on everywhere in this city, right? And they are constantly extending. So this economic growth has probably made it for Farangs, for foreigners like us, harder than it was 20 years ago. I would agree on that. But if I look at the local dating market, it looks to me like a healthy society where two young people who are looks matched and height matched get together. And it's a lot of them. So.
Hey, I have a question, agepill. And then we're going to have Medican after you answer this. We'll have Medican give his take on this stuff. So we've talked a lot about how the differences are between these countries, but I also wanted to go into what the different experiences are that you should expect based on your own background. So, for example, if you are a white person, this is pretty much what we're talking about now from the perspective of being a white guy. But let's just say you're black or you're Asian, let's say Chinese or whatever, you know what I mean? What should we be expecting if that's what the guy's background is from? Like, are there countries where the discrimination is going to be too difficult, or are there countries that are a little easier in that regard? Can you go into that a little bit? And then I'd like you to talk a little bit about how age affects this, and how it's, the age pill still does factor in, but there is more flexibility, and it also depends on the country, right?
All right. Mehdi, if you like, you can add your opinion. So just help me out here.
Yeah,
we have a second experience. So okay, so the
okay.
agepill.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Agepill, yeah. You go there as young as possible, right? Finish your whatever school, your university, and get a job. Well, it's super easy to get a job as an English teacher there. Okay, many people here again complained in the chat, yeah, just get a remote job, bro. Okay, as I said, I get it, right? It's not easy, okay? If you cannot get a remote job, go there and be an English teacher in one of these countries for a year. You're still young. If you don't like it, you come back to the West. No one will give you crap for it, right? Everyone will say, oh, it's a young guy, he wanted to see the world. If you like it, stay there. So that's what can tell you about the age. Because definitely it's harder to be an older guy and to get a young girlfriend. And basically you are wasting your best years in the West. Yeah. Not only you are experiencing a foreign country, you travel around, you can travel to the neighbor countries, right? You can live there, grow your experiences, right? Learn something from other cultures, have a girlfriend over there, probably your first one, right? And then come back. If you have the money, you don't have to work. If you have savings, let's say your family is somewhat rich, yeah, you can live in Bangkok for $1,000 a month. That's a Western lifestyle, pretty much in the center of Bangkok. If you move a little outside, if you live like a more of a Thai lifestyle, you eat more Thai food than the super expensive Western food. You can get along. You share a apartment with your Thai girlfriend. Share the cost for it. You can probably live for 400, let's say $500-$600 a month over there. Yeah. So again, so that's a question regarding the age. So Mehdi, what do you think?
Yeah. You need to know what kind of tourist are you, and what is your style, what are your expenses levels, Also, yeah, me and I have already met in Bangkok, I don't know, like 10 times. And we did some live streams already. But yeah, also it's generational, but you know how in Asia, even the old white boomers, they don't like millennials to see them, and the millennials don't like the Zoomers to be there. They will tell you, go home. Like,
okay, but imagine like how everyone is doing this, right? Before the digital nomad thing got big, right? Only boomers, only retired people, yeah, were moving to live in Asia or in South America or wherever, yeah. So like, come on, like, do it as a young guy, straight after college, straight after school for a year. Again, if you have the money, it's cheap to live there. Yeah. If not,
yeah.
getting.
I keep saying SEAmaxxing is a huge like life fuel, hopium for manlets, especially, by the way. This is absolute redemption for manlets. And it's all about niches and attitudes, basically. If you are manlet, you are a great candidate to do this, basically. Well, because we don't want like toxic people to go to Asia, that's for sure, Also, tall people, no reason to go to Asia also, you see. So
yeah,
that's that. You need to know what kind of inkwell are you.
The standard for tall keeps going up. I mean, you gotta realize that. Like,
no,
6'1" seems pretty average amongst Zoomers.
Yeah, every decade, not like not overnight. Okay, so
yeah, but
like we talked about.
I feel like 6'1" isn't really tall anymore. But all right.
Yeah, we're not talking about America though. And here's something that I wanted to mention as well. There's a guy that I wish I could have gotten on, but I wasn't able to get a hold of him, unfortunately. He's an English guy who's living in Thailand right now, and he actually got his start doing like video editing on Fiverr, I think, or something along those lines. And the thing is, you have to realize that yes, it is true that a lot of these countries are outsourcing, especially like entry-level stuff, to these third world countries where the cost of living and therefore the wages are so much lower. But in a certain sense, you can actually outsource yourself or like insource yourself. I don't know what the word would be. I guess it would be outsourcing yourself, really, because you can move to these countries where the cost of living is so much lower, and then you can make money doing things that, for the amount that you would be getting paid for them, you could not live in a Western country, but you can live somewhere like Thailand. And this is something that he had mentioned, is that he got his start working as doing this Fiverr stuff, and then he eventually ended up doing advertising, like making advertising videos ironically for AI, even though AI is like threatening his industry somewhat. But he's actually making decent money now, and he's living in Thailand. It's a doable thing. Now that's not to say that it's a guarantee, of course, but you just have to remember is $1,000 a month does not go far at all in the US. Like, you're not surviving on that. It doesn't even go far in Canada. But it does go far in Thailand. It goes very far in somewhere like the Philippines. Like, people need to understand that the cost of living, the absolute number of money that you're making, say in USD, the cost of living can sometimes make that very comfortable. And another thing that people don't realize is, yes, like outsourcing to places like India, they are able to massively undercut us in terms of labor costs. That is true. We can't really get past that. But if you look at the quality of work that they do, and again, this is coming from the guy that I'm talking about, the quality just isn't there. You are getting what you pay for from these guys, and it's not difficult to outcompete them in terms of capability. Like, I'm a very amateur video editor. Okay, like you guys have seen my videos. I mean, they're all right in terms of editing, but they're not that great. But he told me, just based on the evidence from my videos, that like I'm well above these guys. Like I could actually make money doing that as a Fiverr thing or whatever, and I could survive somewhere like Southeast Asia just based on the current skill set I have. And I'm very amateur. You know, like the skill floor is a lot lower in these countries. Now, obviously, if you can get a Western job or even like a teaching job, that would be preferable, of course. But I'm just saying that it's not like you either have to get some sort of remote income coming in from a Western job formally, or you're just fucked, you know, or an English teaching job. There are alternatives.
We can quote our friend Draulix, who said basically the West is a loot dungeon, grab the loot and geomax.
And
there is no reason to there's no reason to be wasting time in the West. Every day is the same, and I keep saying, if you have more than 10k available to your name and you are not geomaxing, you are wasting your life away, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, there's a lot of people comment and they notice that it seems like as you get older, life goes so much faster, you know?
Oh, yes.
And you wonder, like, what is causing this? Like, why is it that life suddenly seems to, like, you blink and then suddenly 3 years are gone? And you're like, what the hell happened? Where did these 3 years go? What you realize is that because you're doing this sort of grim, dark, miserable routine, nothing ever changes. You're not forming new memories. You're not making new neural pathways, new connections. And as a result, your brain just sort of drops these memories as if they didn't happen. It's almost like you're going through a time warp where your memory just doesn't exist. Or it's like you're sleeping through life and you're just waking up and it's like 10 years have gone by and you realize that you don't remember almost anything from those years. Like that's what I noticed during COVID. And a lot of Zoomers actually noticed that. They almost got a preview of what aging is like because of how everybody was locked in their houses and stuff. They couldn't go out. So it was like the entire COVID time period.
I would just
like
like to say that a lot of men have been locked in their houses, you know, probably since like 2009. So just like to add that, like I think this whole COVID thing's kind of a cope.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, like, even normies
lockdowns weren't really real.
And women, because they're able to go out and do whatever they want, everybody wants women around, especially young women. When they were forced in the house and they had to cope just due to the COVID lockdowns and quarantines, you saw this massive mental health crisis with women that peaked way harder than with men. It was interesting. I remember reading about that. Anyways, that's a digression, but yeah, I just wanted to mention that it's not only
that's just crying out in pain as they strike. They're not. There's no actual mental health crisis.
Yeah.
If I have to summarize this before I bounce, because I want to stick for like 10-20 minutes, and then I want to enjoy as a listener. By the way.
Yeah.
It's SEAmaxxing. If you pull it right, it's like unparalleled androcentric shift, and you will get whatever you wish for, basically. And the contrast is extreme. Basically, you are going from being gulag true cell into total unimaginary stuff, and it's possible to even pull this with like shit salary, because in my location the salaries are $5 or $6 per hour.
We're having a bitrate issue. Hold on, we're having a bitrate issue.
Yeah, with that.
Hang on, I'm gonna lower.
Yeah, it's possible we are lagging.
Hang on.
Let me check.
Are we okay? Oh my god. Okay.
It's floating, right?
Are we okay?
Can you hear us?
Okay.
Yeah.
We lagging?
I just tuned in, and every 3 seconds there is loading. So
yeah. Give us a little bit. This is garbage internet, unfortunately.
yeah, it's not good.
The subcontinental gulag.
Yeah, we may have to have someone else actually host the stream who has better internet at some point. We'll see. Okay, I think we're recovering somewhat.
Yeah, he's good now. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, sorry, Maddie. Can you
So
continue?
maybe Ayebo have something to say about all these contrasts and differences. Basically, you go from frozen tundra into into environment which is abundant of life. Yeah, it's gonna completely like shift your mental perception of everything, and then you go back to Gulag and you are questioning everything, and it's insane because I already returned like that 6 times. And it's unstoppable, man. It's unstoppable force. What do you think, Ivo?
True. The first I was there, I just like felt 10 years younger. Yeah. Probably like 15 years younger. Yeah. I was energetic. Everything was new. I found a girlfriend which I really like. Yeah. I was just happy, you know. Even working out and everything was more enjoyable. Yeah. Well, one reason is the cheap Thai massage, right? You pay $6-7 for 1 hour of massage, and like you feel like your recovery is just much better after working out and running or whatever exercises you do.
Yeah.
You can eat for cheap over there. Yeah, you can get a sushi plate, a sashimi plate for like $5, right? $6. You can get a Thai food, curry or noodles or rice, whatever, for $1 or $2. So it's just really great. Yeah, and I wanted to say the difference is also not only the weather, you know. Just think about it. In the West, right? Because again, managed decline, Mercer, right? We used that word before. Look around you. For me, it's not only the weather, of course, the food and the mentality of the people. It's also like in the West, nothing new is built, right? And social places where people socialize are closed.
Okay,
Restaurants.
hold on. So it's not only the stagnation here in the West, nothing gets built, no young people nowhere. But have you noticed in Thailand there is no road rage because it's a very peaceful society. It's like
right. There's no vandalism.
No vandalism and no road rage. So that's SEAmaxxing basically summarized. They have good discipline. Yeah.
It's just Asian culture. They are not like they try to save their energy, you know. Why should you be angry like half of these Westerners, right? I mean, you're wasting energy. What? You're wasting energy because you're standing in front of, you're in the supermarket, you're standing in line, and the cashier is too slow, right? Or there is an old guy before you who takes too long to take his stuff, right? And stuff like that. So why are you complaining? Yeah, why are you angry?
To summarize today's, I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, like this Southeast Asian mentality, they have like a good mental health. It's they are collectivistic, you know, and they are cooperation, like solidarity. It's like you can chat up anybody, basically. Yeah.
Well, if they know English, or if you speak Thai or any of these languages, because many people don't speak a good English in a lot of these.
Remember how far we went with Google Translator? We could do anything, almost. But yeah, on top of that, if another thing, if there are some candidates who wants to SEAmaxx, they need to know themselves if they are capable of learning at least basics in order to gain some trust or reputation in that neighborhood where they're gonna stay. It's very important, basically.
Yes, everywhere I've been, people were very helpful, and they tried with Google Translator and with gestures and their limited English. That's true. Yeah.
But if you want to date, you're gonna have to know Thai. Like, don't expect like a local Floyd to just know English or even broken
English. You can totally have your relationship based on Google Translator. I've seen couples like that. I almost actually was in something similar.
I can't see that lasting long term, but like you can maybe have like a month-long like fling, so to speak. If you've just like never had any experiences with women at all, you could have like a month-long fling and just kind of get it out of your system using Google Translate.
All right, guys.
This is not.
I
It's
just want
not
to say
many and
we're
mine.
starting the call-ins now. So just if we want to finish up our points, and then
Can we get Raymond? Let's get Raymond in.
I'd love to have Raymond in if he wants to call in. Yeah. But we have a guy that's been waiting in the lobby for a while now. Now, is there any other points you want to make, Aebo or Medican?
Yeah, maybe me and Aibo gonna summarize this. And what can we say? We often get asked about like how much it costs, I guess, or where to go, right? These are all good questions, basically. And there are levels to this. There are spectrums of expats doing all kinds of, styles of going there. So yeah, every inquiry needs to know himself. Like, not everybody is ready to SEAmaxx, and it's bad idea to pushing this, by the way, on these unsuspected red pillars or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, and then again, as I said, in the West, everything is closing. These social venues are closing, while in Thailand, you have events where they play live music. A restaurant with 50 seats and 10 tables will have a band and a singer play live music. Thai and English pop music, basically. Yeah. So compare that to...
Sorry. Go ahead.
Then...
I would probably say something like in the West, intimacy is like a dead relic of the past, and the only way to recreate some kind of connection or intimacy is in Asia. There is no other way. This type of force will never be allowed here in the West anymore. It's a relic of past.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna bring Big Cheese in, and he can add to the conversation because he's been waiting for a while. Anyone who wants to join the Discord.
People are asking for the link.
Yeah, I linked it in the chat and I pinned it.
Yeah, I'm gonna bounce, and if I have something to add, then maybe I'll join later. So thanks for inviting me, by the way.
Yeah, we appreciate it. All right. So, Big Cheese, you got anything to ask or add here?
Yeah, I don't know. I find it like the conception most people have, which like for the most part this stream has dispelled, is that like you can just go to like Vietnam or wherever and you'll get wifed up immediately, which is nowhere near the case. I would say like you're worse off taking a wife in Vietnam if you're a Westerner than like anywhere else in the West, because like the type of person who would take a Western guy in like Southeast Asia is just like is the type of people you don't want like in the West. Very, very promiscuous women.
I wouldn't agree on that. That's totally wrong.
Well, you want to add to that, Aebo, or?
I would totally not agree to this, especially in Vietnam. It was really the girls, the women I dated were either like not having children, so it was not your typical single mom, with 5 children from 4 different dudes, and the women who had children were basically married for 15 years or whatever. I'm a little older guy, keep in mind, and most of them were married to a Vietnamese guy for 15 or 20 years, the ones who had kids, and are now divorced and looking for a new man, So the question also becomes, yes, are there women fishing for money and a Western passport? Yes, but you can find that out. You should take a few weeks or a few months, and then you see how she behaves and what she demands. And we didn't talk about this before, but it's better if you can live there instead of taking the woman to the West. That's for sure. Because you have all of the cards while staying over there. Now, granted, you would need a remotable job or some saving, or you would need to own property which you can rent out, which you can let, especially in the West, because the rent is so high here. So imagine you would have a apartment, right? You would rent it and you would get $1,000 or $1,000-something euros per month, right? I mean, that's all you need to live a Western lifestyle in Asia. So yeah, you need some money, you need a steady stream of income, right? A constant stream of income, I would agree. But if it's possible for you to stay there, you really hold all the cards in the hand, because once you take her to the West, she may get the Western passport and just divorce your sorry person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna touch on that. Like taking her back is a death sentence. You cannot do that. If you go looking for women anywhere outside your any country that's worse off than your home country, like you're basically saying goodbye to your home nation. Like you're not coming back if you want to keep the
Right.
marriage. And I'm not saying like it's impossible. Obviously, if you're gonna stay there for like months or years, you have higher chance of just finding those women. But like you do need to keep in mind, the women you find more likely than not will be more liberal than like the average women. Like just the dream of like a hyper traditional whatever woman many people have is misplaced at best, and like just a delusion in most cases.
I would agree on that, right? Specifically for Vietnam, again, it's a very conservative country, right? It's like Soviet Russia or Eastern Europe communism, right? Where you just marrying a foreigner, right? And then like, or starting a fling with a foreigner, and this guy leaves and you get pregnant from him, is basically a societal death sentence, right, for you in that country. So in Philippines, it's somewhat the opposite. There really are some of these women, they really are hunting, cannot find a better word, but they are hunting for these white genes, because the Philippines is really that country which has the highest number of mixed celebrities, yeah. And they have the Filipino women, I think it's their culture, because they do this also with their men. They don't really count on the man. You know, they say, okay, yeah, I have a child from him. He may not be around in a few months or a few years anymore. So I'll take care of the child, you know. And if she has a mixed baby, will have light skin, probably be taller, and so on and so on. As I said, like much more celebrities in Philippines are mixed than is in the other Southeast Asian country, because they are so westernized. Yeah. So Vietnam is the total opposite. It's like, feels like really like a communist country back in the old days, you know, with all of the old rules, right? You have to marry, you have to date before you marry, and all of this. So basically, like, if you just want to have fun, do not go to Vietnam, unless you, of course, do pay for play, right? But that's other topic. But in my experience, my dating experience, and also of other guys in the Discord forums, in the Reddit forums, is really these women, they will date you for weeks, and they want them, you need to assure them you will be back in Vietnam and that you will stay in Vietnam, or else they are not starting a relationship with you. Yes, they date you, but they're not starting a relationship. They will not sleep with you, because basically that's the start of a relationship. So that's my experience.
I was not calling Vietnam immediately. I was not calling out Vietnam. It's just like the example that came to mind first. But like, no, like that's it.
Well, you know what's funny about Vietnam? I remember talking about Vietnam in my video on women and the political. And it is interesting how Vietnam, if you think about the civil war that they had, you know, even though they took enormous economic losses, because obviously communism is, you know, it just doesn't work compared to what the Americans were offering in terms of wealth, they still managed to lock down their women and keep these foreign men out of their country. And that's what I really think ultimately that war was about. It was about monopolizing control of their own women. Now this is breaking down now because they're in a vulnerable situation relative to China. So they've actually, oddly enough, become like allied with the Americans, or at least open to working with them in a way that you don't see with
I don't think there was I think it was case from almost like day one that the bad blood that they had with the Americans was like very short, because you need to remember China is a billion plus people country right on their border. Like historically, Vietnamese history was just like fighting off the Chinese. So yes, like the war with America probably wasn't like good PR, but like it's nothing compared to just China's existence.
Yes, it's a blimp in history. While there is 4,000 years of Chinese, the Chinese attacking them in the north.
Yeah, exactly. It is still remarkable, though, that now that's coming to an end, and it's coming to an end for strategic reasons. We're going to see how much they tolerate it. It may be different from what the Thais and the Filipinos have accepted. Philippines is in the opposite extreme, you know? Like, if you look at their sports teams, I remember looking through their sports teams. It was like, holy crap, man. Like 70% of their soccer team is like mixed race of some kind. And I'm thinking to myself, I try and put myself in their shoes. Like, I imagine that I'm like a young Filipino guy, and I grow up watching these football teams. You know, I'm not big into sports personally, but my younger brother is. He loves football, soccer, you know, whatever. And I just try to imagine myself seeing my national team filled with these mixed race guys from men that are not of my background, and that they're the ones that I'm supposed to be cheering for. That would be,
They're like
that must be
Americans.
having an effect on them, like psychologically. It would have an effect on me. Excuse me. So yeah, anyways.
I find it like the issue of let's just say foreigners on football teams is something that's kind of overlooked in most places. Like to the point where if you have a guy from your country playing a foreign team, people will often come out to cheer for him, even when he's playing against the national team, just because it's very selective loyalship. Like your team is amazing when they win, but when they lose, it's like the black people.
Yeah. When your team wins, people talk about we won. Yeah, we. And they weren't not even on the football pitch. They were not even competing. They were just watching with a beer in their hand, right, on their sofas. And when your team loses, people talk about they lost. Oh, they played so bad today, you see? So you associate with winners and you disassociate with losers. Just think about it, yeah? When your team loses, it's like they lost. And when your team wins, people talk about we won, right? So... Yeah, that's the words they use, literally.
Yeah, it's just messed up. Like I personally, I can understand why like there would be some negative reaction to that, but you know, it also seems on the other end that you don't really see that too much in Southeast Asia. You had mentioned another thing, by the way, and that was Indonesia and Malaysia, and they're unusual in that they are Muslim countries, right? So you would think that like Muslim countries in the Middle East, that there would be a lot of resistance to allowing the women to have any interactions with foreign men. But you've told me that this is actually not the case, and that they're quite different from what you would expect in the Middle East or even in Africa, let's say. Do you want to go into that a little bit?
Well, I was also in Dubai, so I know the Arab states a little bit. Granted, Dubai is a very modern Arab state, but Malaysia and Indonesia is definitely more modern, right? There's only a few venues where you can buy and consume alcohol in Dubai. You need to go to specific restaurants or hotels, to the bars of these hotels to buy. Or when you buy, you need to go to a liquor shop, show your ID, and then you can take it home and consume it at your Airbnb or hotel. Yeah. So, like, they try everything for these local Muslim men and women to not see foreigners, non-Muslims, drink alcohol in public, right? While in Malaysia you can buy beer at the 7-Eleven. You are not allowed to drink it publicly in a park or such, but you can sit outside, right outside of a restaurant or of a hotel, of a whatever venue, right? You can sit outside and drink your beer. So the local Muslims will pass by and they don't care, basically, right? While the Arabs, they will probably punch you, or they will call the police on you for consuming alcohol in public.
Yeah.
So it's very open for non-Muslims. It's very tolerated, right? The women, even the religious Muslims, even the women who wear a hijab, right? and cover their hair with a scarf or even a hijab. They try to date Westerners. Yeah, it seems like, as you said, Mercer, the local government or the local man don't care. And what I've heard from many guys marrying, for example, a woman from Malaysia, a Muslim woman from Malaysia and Indonesia, because there's not only Muslims there, they have a huge Chinese minority. Also, some of the locals are converted to Catholicism or whatever, right, to Christianity and other religions. So I hear that, like, from some of these guys who married a modern or even a conservative Muslim woman in Malaysia or in Indonesia, that the Malaysians and Indonesians are very proud of those converted guys, yeah, who married the Muslima and then converted to be a Muslim, right? So they are very much accepted, and people really are fond of them. They talk like in high regard of those converted men who converted to the Muslim religion in those countries. Yeah, it's somehow, you can feel that it makes them proud that someone wants to join their culture, their country, and their religion. So that's very interesting, you know. Then again, you don't have to date Muslim women there. There is a huge minority of Chinese, Malay, and Chinese, not so much in Indonesia, but in Malaysia for sure, who are either Christians or Buddhists, right? You can do that. And as I said, there is modern Muslim women, and there is also conservative women who want to date Western guys. So it's a very interesting location. And of course, Malaysia is part of the Commonwealth, right? They have still nowadays, they have a copy of the British law. So it means you can own property as a foreigner in Malaysia. That's basically, I think, the only or one of the very few Asian countries where a foreigner can own property. Yeah. That's also one of the everything, in my opinion, I like a lot of things about in Thailand, right? It's not perfect, but I like a lot of things. But one thing I don't like is that I cannot buy property as a foreigner. Yeah. So yeah, and I often told Muslim guys I know here, because here in Europe we have a Turkish and an Albanian or whatever minority here living, right? And I advised them to go to Malaysia or to Indonesia, yeah, because the country to me feels a lot like, let's say, Turkey, yeah, who are also more of the modern Muslim side compared to the Arabs and compared to the North Africans. So yeah. It was not bad there.
So I also wanted to ask you about the Chinese in Southeast Asia, because this is something that foreigners that go there are going to encounter, and they're going to find kind of odd, because the Chinese are quite, they've been there for a long time, hundreds of years, and they're very wealthy and successful, even as small minorities. But in places like Malaysia, you actually have quite a large number of Chinese. Like, I think it's up to 25% or something along those lines, right? Could you give some information on that?
Yeah, it should be a of Chinese in Malaysia. I visited the island Penang. Yeah, in Malaysia, it's close to the border to Thailand, and there was 50% or even more of the population was Chinese or had Chinese roots. So half of the city was basically Chinese leathers, Chinese restaurant, Chinese food, people talking in Chinese, people looking Chinese. So in Kuala Lumpur and the rest of Malaysia, it's about 15% Chinese, right? I would say nationwide. But there are places like this island, Penang, right? Which was like half of the population at least was Chinese or had Chinese ancestors. And if you go to Singapore, I think the majority is Chinese. Singapore should be 50-60% Chinese, and the rest is the locals, Malay people, which are Indonesians or Malaysians, yeah, and a few Indians. So yeah, but then again, Singapore is the Switzerland of Asia, right? It's a city state, yeah, and it's very expensive and it's very clean. So I would say Singapore is the Switzerland of Asia. It's Switzerland but with Asian people.
That makes a lot of sense. And so is it worth trying to date Chinese women generally in places like Malaysia, or would it be better just to?
Are they just like off the table? Like, are they too high
Because
SMP?
I remember you mentioning that like there's a difference between like in Malaysia, you're being say a white guy in Malaysia is not going to have as big of an effect as being a white guy in say Vietnam or like these other countries like Thailand, let's say. Like you'd mentioned something
I
along
think
those
it's just
lines.
richer.
What's that?
I think they're just like richer than
Yeah, that's a big
the other
factor as well.
countries.
But it's also
Like,
white people are just
and
more
also
common.
I think they're probably more used to them because Malaysia has been like a commerce hub for like quite a while now. So I think they're more used to just like white people stopping by, having like flings and leaving.
Yeah. Oh, I just
Whereas
saw
like
Little
Vietnam,
Broomstick. I just wanted to mention Little Broomstick is in the chat. How you doing? Sorry, go ahead.
well, no, I think they're just a lot more used to the Westerners because like they have been there continuously since the British took over. Whereas like Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, they have been first under the French, who like had just a different governing style, so they weren't there as much. And then by like the communists, which meant like the Westerners just do not come. So it's only been like the last maybe 50 years or so that they've really opened up to it, whereas like Malaysia has seen white people for centuries on end.
Yeah, and
That's
it's
true.
kind of a
That's
weird situation too, because if you look at the history of Chinese migrating into Southeast Asia, it's like all dudes. And you know what? Like when I was reading about the Chinese in Southeast Asia, not just Malaysia, sorry, but Southeast Asia generally, but especially the non-Muslim countries like Thailand, Vietnam to a lesser extent, Cambodia, Philippines even, you realize that these countries they're a lot like Western countries in the way that they deal with women, where compared to say Chinese culture, where like Chinese culture is way more patriarchal. They have a lot more control over what their women can do. Whereas in these Southeast Asian countries, there's not that much. There's not that big of a factor when it comes to. It's not that big of a factor. Is there anything that you can comment on that, or does it not even really matter if you're white? Like whether I guess money would matter a lot more in that regard, right?
Yes, yes. And of course, these women, as the poorer the country is, of course, they are looking more for you call it simp, I call it provider. Yeah, of course. So, for example, like I know in Thailand, but it should be also in other countries, right? Single moms, as local men, they don't like single moms, right? They will probably date them. Yeah, they will probably have a affair with them, a short-term relationship, whatever. But they will not make additional kids with that woman. So in Asia, there are no patchwork families like here in the West, right? There's
Yeah.
not like one divorced guy with 2 kids marrying a divorced woman with 3 kids. Yeah. And then probably they make another 2 kids. So these patchwork families are non existent in Asia. So once the guy leaves, or for whatever reason they separate, is basically the her family or sometimes his family, basically the grandma or the grandmas take care of the child a lot of times and help basically the woman to grow up with growing up the children. So that's how it works over there. It's also like probably I think this is how the West worked until the 70s or 80s, right? People just didn't divorce. They knew that they were both like maneuvering themselves in a really bad social place, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, the question is kanji idol, yeah. So what do single moms do? Well, they look for foreigners in Southeast Asia, yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. I think we're having some issues again on the stream. Okay, this is something I'm going to deal with before I do my next stream. We'll figure out what's going on with the internet. Yeah, this is back though. We are. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're back up. All right. So, no, it's still bad. May have to cut the stream early. We'll have to see. Yeah. Now I'm down to 0. You guys hear me?
Chat, do you hear us?
Yeah. Okay, I think we're back.
Yeah, it's not
we're
buffering
good. We're back.
anymore.
We're back. Sorry about that, guys. We'll see if we keep having issues, we might cut it early. We'll give it another 30 minutes. Hopefully we can keep going. Anyways, so we were talking about single moms in places like Thailand and the Philippines. I suppose it would be different, right? Because Thailand's a little more conservative in that regard. I'm trying to think if there's anything that we haven't covered yet. We covered work. English teacher is a really good job if you are an Anglo native, right?
Yes.
So that helps. Okay, good. All right, let me just see what else we got here. We talked about job stuff. We talked about the differences in Southeast Asia. Talked about Chinese, Muslims. Did we touch on because we had guys that have asked us repeatedly. We talked about the black stuff, right? Like if you're a black guy and you're trying to Southeast Asia max, your options may be a little more limited, right? But the Philippines is a decent option. Still,
Yes.
regardless. All right.
It's really not that bad. I see a lot of couples of a black Western male with a Thai girlfriend or wife. Yeah, I see a lot of some. I see more. I see it's not only a few of them. Yeah, so like our black friends here in the circle, they shouldn't be too afraid to geomix, right? Obviously there is Brazil and South America and Latin America and the Caribbean, right? That's a place to go for Americans and Canadians, yeah. But like Philippines, as I said, is very pro-America, and they really like everything about American culture and consider America and Americans to be their friends. They're saviors, I would say, because they kicked the Japanese out at the end of the Second World War. So your status as an American there is super high, yeah. And yeah, it's not that bad actually. Yeah, it's not. I would consider it nowadays. People are making excuses if you are say I'm this and that and I will not have success geomaxing. It's not true.
So I remember you mentioning that the dating culture in general there is different as well, because you had talked about how dates take way longer compared to how it is in the West. You want to give us a comparison and maybe some examples, personal examples?
Yeah, shortly. I can do shortly. So your average date in the West may be 1.5 hour, 2 days, right, max, and then either the woman or the guy or both or whatever will say oh, I need to go home and I have this and that to do and nice meeting you, blah blah, yeah, on a Saturday or a Sunday, right, where both persons have no other plans, yeah, so they will still separate after 1.5 hour or whatever on average, right? While you have a date in Asia and the woman and you are free, it's a Saturday, it's a Sunday, let's say, you will have dates that are several hours. The longest date I had was in Malaysia, yeah, and it was I don't know 7 or 8 hours, yeah, and it was not awkward. It was enjoyable, and it went from the lunch to the dinner and then said goodbye. So, and all these other countries, Thailand and Vietnam, really, if they are after they have finished their work, yeah, they are off the work, right, they finished working for today, they take time, they take as much time to spend with you. I'm talking about date even, yeah, I'm not talking about having a girlfriend, right, I'm talking about a date where nothing is sure if she will be your girlfriend or you will be her boyfriend, right? they will really take time to make and do an effort to make you feel comfortable. Yeah. It's really the total opposite of dating in the West. Yeah. So being treated like a human being for the first time, probably because you just don't experience it in the West. Yeah. Because every.
Fuck. Yeah. Wow, this is bullshit. Okay. Hang on. You guys still hear me? Okay, we're back. We're back. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. We're still here. All right. So, anyways, could you give us a little bit of a background on what that was first like when you first experienced it? Like, did you go into the date expecting it to sort of end when it normally would end in Germany, but then it just kept going? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, of course, because like most Westerners, we are not used to anything else, right? And you just start and date the first few girls, right, to find out which one do you like, right, and which one you find the best, and which one likes you, and so on, right? So you totally expect them to say like after 1.5 hours, like, hey, nice to meet you, but I have to go home, or I want to do this, I want to watch Netflix, whatever. But they just don't, right? Don't get me wrong, if they have other important dates on that day, right? Like, for example, I dated a girl, but she told me in advance that she has 1.5, 2 hours time, and then she needs to visit her friend because her best friend is in the hospital, right? Just gave birth to a baby, and she wants to visit her friend and see the baby. So you see, if they really have to do something, they will even tell you in advance. They will just even excuse themselves, be polite about it. Hey, and they say, okay, let's meet again next weekend, whatever. Yeah, write me, I write you. Yeah. But if they have time the whole day because they are off, it's a Saturday, a Sunday, for example. Yeah, they will just try to stick around as long as long you want to go. I mean, you can look at the third or board or whatever, if she's still enjoying it and not, and then you can just withdraw, right? So many of these girls, they are really like, they try to make you feel comfortable, they trying to create a connection, an emotional connection. This is of course very favorable to do this, right? Sometimes you end a date with a Western woman, and you just go home and you ask yourself, like, what was that? I was there with 1.5 hours, and we didn't understand at all. Yeah, so that's the difference.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a few dates in my life, so I guess I'm outing myself as not a total true sell, but the thing I noticed about it is that it's just like an interview. Like, I remember the
Yes.
first time, it was just it was like I felt like I was going in to interview for a job, and then I realized that, the characterization of dating in the West, like it's a market, like the dating market, it's really true. Like that is how it is. But when you get put into the position where you are now the buyer, or like you are a commodity that people want, that must have a huge effect on your self-worth, basically, Like I remember I had a roommate who went to Mexico. This isn't Southeast Asia, but oh, hang on, I think we're having issues with the stream again.
Yeah, it's buffering now.
Give it a sec.
Yeah, I can see. I'm watching you now. Now we are back.
Okay. So anyways, I had a roommate who was from Mexico, or not from Mexico, he was French Canadian, but he went to Mexico as a not a tourist, but he had like a visa where he could stay for a long time period. And yeah, I just lowered the bit rate, so hopefully it'll catch up. Just give it a second here. Okay, we're good. I'm just waiting to see the health catch back up. Yeah. I really don't want to have to use StreamYards, but I might. Anyways,
Yeah.
this guy from Mexico or from Canada who went to Mexico, he told me that he was approached to do modeling, and he's like a decent looking guy, but he said it like changed his mind, like the way he thought about himself, and it actually improved how he was able to deal with women in Canada. Now this was like 5, 6, 7 years ago, so obviously things have changed since then. He's probably in his mid-30s now, but yeah, like it must have a major psychological impact. And a lot of people are asking about how to money max. That actually is a good idea for another stream. So that one's going to take a lot more prep, I think. Are we still okay on the stream, or is it buffering, or?
It's fine, I think, at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, yikes, sweaty. My internet is misogynistic. Because yeah, that's the biggest single issue. It's an issue we have here in Canada as well. Our economic situation is just going to get so much worse, and Germany, I think, is in the same boat more or less, just for different reasons.
All
Somewhat.
Europe, really. Like I think all of Europe is more or less in the same boat.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right. Yeah, we might just use StreamYards next stream as an alternative, just so that we don't have to worry about this. Anyway, let's see here.
Actually, I think it may be even Discord. Sometimes Discord it's like this. Yeah.
Could be. I mean, it's saying on OBS that my stream health is quite bad. That's strange. But people are saying that it's smooth. So maybe, I don't know, maybe not.
It's good now.
Okay. Yeah, now on the other hand though, I've had other people say that you don't want to just spend your 20s in Southeast Asia and then end up in a bad economic situation later. I actually don't know how relevant that is now, to be honest with you, because I don't think you can really get ahead.
For sure, I think it's more relevant because, I mean, unless you're going to die in your early 30s, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, once you get into your 30s, like, your parents are going to be aging, they might be passed away. I mean, you don't want to end up homeless.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm thinking to myself, like, I got an inheritance from my father, and I spent it on an education that turned out to not go anywhere, because when I started IT in a hospital, they had told me, like, when I was doing my because this was like a co-op basically, they told me as I was doing the co-op that they were the IT department was basically going to be moved to a centralized location and everything was going to be done remotely. So this was already happening as far back as like 10 years ago. Now it's just a completely different story. This is why I was speculating that there's going to be a big shift to the left with Zoomers as time goes on, and the STEM,
I think like once the money of Zoomers' parents and millennials' parents run out, I mean, we're going to be in trouble. Like, it's one thing if, like, oh, I'm 23 and I can't get a job, but, like, I'm 33 and I can't get a job. Like, that has, like, more sinister undertones to it. But if you, let's say, like, you have, like, 20,000 in savings and you're, like, 24 or something, they're, like, 25. If you go to Southeast Asia, and, I mean, assuming you're American and there's still, like, some sort of, you know, job market for you, if you go to Southeast Asia, like, it might be hard to explain, like, that career break, because it's competitive in America, and, like, you can't really just, like, have a career break like that. So I don't know, like, maybe it would be better to, like, live with your parents, save up a bunch of money, buy, like, a rental property or something, rent that out, and then make money off of that, you know, maybe, you know, invest some money in, like, mutual funds, rather than just going right away, because the age pill's not as severe. So maybe it's like, yeah, get a little bit of a nest egg built up in the West rather than just going right away. because you don't want to like have fun in your 20s in Southeast Asia and then like have no money prospects as you get older. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, on the other hand, as I said, and it's a shame that I couldn't get in touch with him to ask him about this. There was that guy that I mentioned who's English by ancestry and nationality, and he was in Thailand. He basically like hacked the system in a way by offshoring himself, but I just don't know. Like, I have a feeling that these sort of things are going to be played out over time, especially as we're importing, especially in places like Canada. We're importing so many people from places that have an excess supply of men, and they are going to realize that it's like with Indians, for example. The very fact that they can move somewhere results in them overwhelming whatever countries they can get into. Just because if one Indian can move there, they all can, and they just immediately cram into the country and just destroy it just through their sheer biomass. This is what's going to happen in Canada and Australia, but then they're going to take our visas and our passports, and they're going to, not visas, but passports, and they're going to get into other countries with it. And they're going to do the same thing. Like, unless, and it's a shame because I don't have any personal animus towards them, but it's like, if we don't basically like ban them on a biological level.
I want to feel bad for them. Like, honestly, like I want to, but they're just like, too evil and gross to feel bad for.
Oh, Thailand birth rate is interesting because they've had a low birth rate for a long time, actually. It was one of the reasons why they developed, because one of the most important things you need to do in order to go from like a third world mud hut country into a developing country is to cut your birth rate so that you can take that money that you would have spent on the kids and invest it into your kids' education, put it into the economy, etc. That's what the Thais did, which is why Thailand is ahead of most of their neighbors. I think all of their neighbors, actually, except maybe Malaysia. But the consequence is they are now a rapidly aging country. And this is something you notice when you go on Thai Friendly, which is the Thai dating app. I made an account on there, and I'm like, I don't know if it's just because I'm the Thai granny whisperer or something, but I get like a bajillion women that are in their like 40s right up to their 60s that are like aggressively messaging me. And I'm like, man, if I had like a granny fetish right now, I would be on cloud nine. But you do notice there's a lot of these women that are, and the thing is, not like they're not poor either, at least not from what it seems like. Like a lot of these women, I think there's a significant chunk of these women that are either divorced or in some other situation, and they have like some means of supporting themselves, and so they're going on these dating apps looking for guys that by relative comparison are better looking physically than what they could get locally. And they're sort of leveraging their independent status where you don't have to take care of them. I think there's an element of that. If you're
it looks like Thailand's been below replacement since like 1993. So.
They also had a huge economic growth from the 90s to the 2000s or 2000 and something. So yeah, Mercer is correct.
And since 2013, it's going even lower. Like it's closer to 1 now. Like it was kind of like 1.7, 1.8, like through the 90s and 2000s. But for the past like 10, 15 years, it's been like 1.3. So.
Yeah, something like that.
To industrialize, if you want to grow your economy, they did this during this time. And the neighbors did not.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, the neighbors are undergoing that presently. So it's we will have to wait and see.
Yeah, but that's a long way to go. I don't know if they will.
Yeah, you need like a few decades of below replacement before you really start to age. I feel like, especially if it was historically high.
Well, not really. Like in 20 years, all the newborns are like 20-year-olds. 20 more years, they're 40-year-olds. 20 more years, and they can't work.
Yeah, but the birth rate's not 0. You know, it's
no, obviously, but you know, as the birth rate declines, the rate of like new generations also decreases. So like, you know, let's say you had like 100 newborns, and like the next generation you have 80 newborns. Well, now you have 80 newborns and 100 20-year-olds. The next generation you would have, let's say, 60 newborns, 80 20-year-olds, 100 40-year-olds, and the problem occurs in the next generation where there's now 40 kids, 60 20-year-olds, 80 40-year-olds, and 100 basically pensioners.
Yeah,
and like
but,
over time, this
but
just
the point is
compounds.
though, like even though it's an older population, like there's other factors that make dating not as bad. So
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Here's the thing people need to understand. Okay. If we look at the trajectory of birth rates, they are now plunging globally. So if you guys remember the video I made about demographics where I looked at these older versus younger countries, very soon that's not going to apply. Okay, we still have some time. We have about 10, 20 years, I would say, before it becomes a real crisis for us. But it's going to be worldwide, and every country is going to have this problem. And I do wonder what some of these places are going to do, especially if they have less means, like Latin America, Southeast Asia. What we're seeing in Southeast Asia is that there's a lot of ladyboy maxing, and as Ayebo said, there's a lot of homosexuality too. Actually, this is something that other people that have been in Thailand have commented on, and Philippines as well. Is that there's a lot of gays in Thailand and the Philippines. Are they going to become more hostile to us as the demographic situation inverts on them? You know, that's going to be a really important question. Is it going to be safe in the long run for Westerners to live in these countries? It's a hard sell. I mean, it's tough to say. They've shown historically that they're not very patriarchal or aggressive in Southeast Asia. But we don't know if the situation gets really bad demographically, maybe that'll change. Maybe there'll be like a universal sucking sound that you hear out of these poorer countries where women just basically get trafficked into wealthier and wealthier countries. And then you just have literally like the poorest countries have no women, basically, you know? I do wonder if that's coming. You know,
the poorest countries are in like Africa though. Like if we're being honest, like the poorest countries,
it'll be regional.
Or like India, not Thailand.
It is heavily going to depend on how poor they are because you know, in Africa, I can just see them leaving a bunch of like elderly people to starve and like solving just the issue through that. Like you don't need to worry about paying the pension to granny if like the granny's been left to starve. In the West, there's really no like unless something drastically changes, we're just gonna get gradually drowned by the pensions. As like we can't. No one will let you like leave your grandparents to die or someone else's grandparents. Or really, realistically speaking, just some old people who never had any kids. It's gonna be unpopular to just leave them to die, and because like everyone still thinks that we're all so rich, it's gonna be like a thing of shame to just like say we're so broke we need to leave granny to die. The middle part is just gonna go one way or the other depending on like just how culturally Western they are.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I actually do think that a certain number of them will just leave them to die effectively because they're just not going to have the means to take care of them. A lot of countries in Asia, they don't have the sentimentality that we do in Western countries where we feel bad about these things. Like they'll be very pragmatic in a lot of ways, I think. It remains to be seen, but I do wonder. That demographics question is a good one. And then there's a lot of guys that are not going to be having kids just because of how things are now. Well, imagine the ramifications 20 years from now. You know, makes you wonder if long-term these are going to be options. I hope they remain options because things are now, it really stinks. But yeah, we'll have to see. Have you noticed anything like that, Ayebo, by the way? Like, is there any sort of, do you see any kind of resentment from the local men on if they see you with women? Because that would be kind of, I have to say personally, that would be something that would bother me. I don't like feeling
Oh,
like
there is
that
resentment
guy.
for sure.
You know?
There is
Yeah,
resentment for sure.
there is. I think that he's right. There's
Is this resentment growing, or is it kind of like you'll get a few looks, but like it's always been there, no one's going to do anything, or can you feel that like they're getting
yes.
more resentful?
No, I
They're all
cannot.
getting more.
I feel like the the Chinese are more acting on it, right? While the Thais and neighbors, they are like more like suppressing these feelings, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so
Maybe.
like there's more aggression and like militarism, I guess, from like the Chinese, but like the Southeast it's more just like namaste.
Vietnamese, I think the Vietnamese are pretty much similar to the Chinese. They are loud, they are,
Okay.
they drive like crazy and they honk like crazy and all of this. So yeah, I feel like the Thais and their neighbors, they are really like not acting on it. They are suppressing it somewhat. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Probably
know if it's like their Buddhist culture or something.
there's many, only one reason. It's Buddhism is one reason, of course. Then the other one may be the surplus of women, right? We talked about the many monks and ladyboys and gays and LGBTQ people over there. So there's really a surplus of women over there. So that's probably another reason. Yeah. And a third reason may be that their society, their dating life, their social life is super healthy. This Mehdi just said it. Like, these people are mentally healthy. They are mentally happy.
Also, they have abundances of crops, abundances of hot weather. In such a location where you have all these abundances, nobody will be resenting you because everybody is abundant. So this type of thinking, this is toxic.
They're just too stoned out on weed to do anything, for better or for worse.
Yeah, essentially, I do think this is one of those. This is, I think it's similar to like intermixing, where as long as there's just like a couple guys who are doing it, and like you can't see it in your day-to-day life outside of like the biggest metropolises, it's not like it's not a topic even. But like once it gets to the point where you can actually see it in like even middling towns, people start to talk about it and it starts to become a problem.
Yeah,
I think so.
I just wonder though, like, yeah, the current situation as it stands now is tolerable, but we know that these things aren't static, and that as the inversion in the population gets more severe, I think we're going to see these things become more exaggerated. And what I'm thinking of is, Thailand is not a democracy or like even a corrupt democracy. It's an absolute monarchy, right? And the king, even though the king has an enormous amount of power and authority, I'm just imagining that if he's put in a situation where these Westerners are being complained about by the local men, and the local men are threatening to cause problems, let's say, and the Thai king knows that he can pacify these guys just by kicking these foreigners out. And that he has these connections with China now, where the loss in revenue from these foreigners could be made up by, relations, trade with China. It makes you wonder if would he be willing to do that? Like, we have to think about the post, because we grew up in the boomer era where the West just dominated everything. So there was no question about a country like Thailand daring to cross the United States or any Western country and risk a diplomatic incident. Soon that's not going to be the case anymore, And it makes you wonder, long term, is that going to be an issue for us? I think Latin America is a little safer in this regard because there are white people in Latin America that have been there for hundreds of years. It's basically, it was founded, the state is run by white Hispanics effectively in most of these countries.
And also, like, culturally, it is desirable to be with the white.
Thailand needs to own nuclear weapons to protect itself, because in the past, Americans already bombed Bangkok, by the way, in 1944. They also bombed Slovakia, but that's a different story. So I think Thais should own nuclear weapons to like protect themselves, because they're very unique in such fashion. They never been colonized but they seen what happened to their neighbors.
Mhm.
Thailand also lost a lot of land because of French colonizers. Laos was stolen from Thailand, by the way. Yeah, go
Yes.
ahead.
Yeah, I think they stroke a good deal all of the time. I think one of the reason because Thailand is and always was the big dog in that area, yeah, on that peninsula, right? They always were the biggest and the strongest nation on that peninsula. So the old Thailand, like Siam, and Ayutthaya, and I don't know all of the names of the former Thai kingdoms. Yeah, they were basically bigger than Thailand is now back in the past. So as I say, they were the big boss in that area. Something like comparable to Turkey, how Turkey is on this geopolitical favorable position. Also a country with not only a few million of people, but a medium-sized country, right? So it's probably also like they found an agreement with, well, the British, the French, and later the Americans would make a lot of sense to me. And what is going on, I heard, I mean, Maddie also heard about this. There was the Orange Party, basically. It challenged the king and the absolute power of the royal family in Thailand. And guess what? All of the high-level politicians in that Orange Party, yeah, the Party for Change or whatever the name was, they all studied in the Ivy League colleges in America. Yeah, so one could assume that the America is using its connections in that country, yeah, to bring Thailand back as an ally, because I think that the Thai royal family and the elites, they decided to, well, sell out to the Chinese instead of the Americans, basically. So that's what's going on. Again, I'm saying it, all of these leaders who would have gotten a position as some kind of minister, right? They achieved the most votes. I think they had like 36 or possibly even close to 40% of the Thai vote. And they were looking for a coalition partner. And once they found one, the king just dissolved this party. Imagine. So a lot of young Thai people now are really angry and mad, even more than before, at the royal family, right, and their absolute power. But again, I'd like to mention that most of these the leaders, the founder of the party and the leaders in this Orange Party were educated on an American Ivy League college, right? So we are talking now about influence in global politics. Yeah. So something is going on in that country.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the education in the West. That is just a trend everyone follows. Like it's to the point where I think even the Kim family, like Kim Jong-un, partially was educated in like Switzerland or somewhere.
Right, but
isn't Mao's
that is
daughter in the U.S. right now as a student? I remember reading something about
very likely. That's a problem. All
Zedong, or
Western,
not
like,
Mao. Sorry, not
dictatorships.
Mao. Xi Jinping. Mao Zedong. Maybe Mao's daughter was in there too. Who knows? But Xi Jinping, his daughter is in the U.S. as a student. It's actually become kind of a scandal because it's like, wait a minute, why is this woman who's the daughter of a foreign powers leader? Why is she in the U.S. studying at an Ivy League? But you notice that that's actually really common, and it's like a fashion statement for a lot of them. I think really people overestimate that. For a lot of these people, I think it's just it's fashionable to have a Harvard, Yale, Oxford, whatever, have that on your portfolio. It makes you look more sophisticated. I don't think necessarily that's gonna be a big deal for them to drop.
It is. No, so here's the deal. It is very fashionable for people outside of the West to go to the West because, like, it still stands despite all the brainwashing and uselessness and whatever. A diploma in the West is just like fancier than any local diploma, especially if it's like from somewhere people can like recall right off the bat. Like if you have a Harvard education, you can get hired easily anywhere. It doesn't matter if they have internet or not, because like just if you went to Harvard, they know that you're good at something. That's not something that's really going to change. And the problem with that is that, well, it is fashionable for them to go. You need to remember, these are still like 20-something people who are rather susceptible to brainwashing. So they go to like Harvard or wherever, and they come back believing in a lot of bullshit. So fuck. A lot of stuff, a lot of nonsense from the West.
I don't know how
that
much
just kind
that's
of
really
leads
going
to
to be an
ruin.
issue, though. Because a lot of these, you have to remember, these are the children of extremely powerful people that are going to be inheriting a lot of power. If not running the country, they're going to be very close to the levers of power. Those people have a really strong incentive to not rock the boat. This is something, you know, I know this is getting a little off topic for the stream, but this is something that I've tried to explain to right wingers who think that they can just like influence elite people and somehow because their arguments are really good, they're going to have these people infiltrate and take over the government. And you realize, no, if you look at the incentive structure, these people with enormous sums of money and lots of power, they have no reason to destabilize that. Even if they understand on some level that it's a really shitty system to be in, they are like, it would be running directly against their interests to potentially, destabilize that. Like we just saw in the U.S., Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez just voted for against defunding Israel, which outraged her base. But then you realize, well, I mean, maybe she's looking to run for Senate or something, you know, or maybe even run for president. And she realizes she cannot oppose Israel on these key issues in order to get elected in the U.S. government in these higher positions, you know. So that's just a side note. I don't think that that these people are going to be turned into agents and then overthrow their own countries. I think there was a case to be made for that in the past when the U.S. was like converting foreigners to overthrow their own countries and become American allies and American vassals, you know, because they would benefit personally from it. I just don't think that's going to be the case for a lot of these countries. Anyways, yeah.
Buffering.
I think
right
it's a lot more of a problem than you might think, and it's gonna be one that sticks for a lot longer.
Yeah. We were going so well for a little while there. Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, just give it a minute.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I did redeem. Now, this is something I can fix on my end. It's a pretty minor issue. It's just I didn't think it would be this bad. Anyways, you had messaged me here about please tell your audience to avoid Cambodia. Is there any issues, Ayebo, that you can think of concerning Cambodia that we would have to be worried about?
A lot of scams going on. Yeah.
Well, Cambodia is stuck in 95 and there is no modified vehicles, dusty roads, people are poorly dressed, girls are wearing weird makeup. I only did 2 border runs to Cambodia, and I told myself, okay, this place is kind of behind, and it was likely the aftermath of Pol Pot. Nobody can tell, but probably downtown Phnom Penh downtown is okay, and also Siam Reap might be okay, by the way, but nowhere else. Don't go anywhere else. The whole countryside is it's one depopulated field, basically. Yeah.
Isn't this also an issue for Laos as well? Like the infrastructure.
Come on, Laos. At least Laos is like a wet jungle with friendly people that have Thai background somewhat. But Cambodia, that's Khmers. They are separate stuff. Okay, they are ex-Hindu, by the way. Yeah. This is a separate type of ethnicity. Okay.
Communist.
What do you think?
They're more like Furries.
Look, in first that's the thing. In first century, some Hindu traders came through the Mekong Delta into Phnom Penh, and that's where they established outpost. So there is this theory of Phnom Penh having Hindu roots. All right, that's maybe why the girls are not so attractive compared to the Thai girls, which are very attractive, especially the East.
To the Chinese cultural group, yeah, and the Thai people and their culture. So yeah, the Thais are also much more diverse than many other Asians. Yeah, there's light-skinned Thais who have Chinese or whatever ancestors, and there is also dark-skinned Thais who are look more like Malaysians, or even some of them have you can see that they have Indian or Pakistani ancestors. So it's very diverse genetically. Makes a lot of sense. And I heard the same. So Cambodia is totally underdeveloped. There's a lot of scams, unless of course let's say you are somewhere in the center of the capital where all the foreigners live. Yeah, it's not per se dangerous like a lot of South American countries, but sure, there's a lot of scams and it's totally
Well,
underdeveloped.
there
So
is discrimination in Thai society between the pale and the darker. I mean,
yeah,
and but you and me, Aibo, we are like also pale manlets, so we are just trying to find the looks match per se. So we have only data ground, you know.
Yeah.
We never actually. I never ended up deep south, like Phuket and all this Australo sphere, you know.
Yeah, the
I'm all
south
about
Thais are more darker than the ones in the middle and in the north. Yeah. Yeah. So
this-
right. So yeah. I mean, that's why I say living there. We had this before. Go there for 3 weeks. Yeah, I would say around 3 to 4 weeks, and because you live there, you have to buy groceries. You use the public transport. You see how you use the taxi, right? The taxi. You see how the traffic is. You see how people behave. You see the quality of food you'll get. You'll notice how many people will scam you or how they treat you, right? If they are fair or just double charge you and you pay the foreigner tax or triple charge you and stuff like this. This is also happening in Thailand, but it's basically only the taxi mafia in front of the royal palace or in front of some museums and stuff, right? So they they double or triple charge the foreigners. That's the only place you get scammed in Thailand.
Yeah, I can slip small advice about the taxi drivers in Asia. First thing first, you always speak with the driver and ask him if he have taximeter on. And he literally needs to point his arm to taximeter and start it in front of you, and only then you sit in the car. And that's one should be safe, right? Yeah.
Or you just take a Grab.
Yeah, or you do Grab, which you can, by the way, use all these discounts and get the price really, really low if you are like Gulag Cell with shit salary like me, you know.
You could do a full course on that, right? Figuring out how to money max, save money. Max.
Yeah, we were joking about there is this video called "How to Know You Are Ready to SEAmaxx," but this video not gonna be released. The world is not ready for it, you know.
Yeah, well, you got to start that video with like an animation of a guy escaping a gulag in the Soviet Union and managing to flee to Thailand on a raft or something. That'd be a really good setting to start it off on, you know?
Oh, maybe, but we are not selling anything. It's more like analyzing this SEAmaxxing. Many incel would say this is a cope, by the way, but for many other types of incel, this is ultimate solution, by the way.
It's probably the only solution.
Yeah, I wanted to mention, by the way, my younger brother pops out as an example because he is actually a lot worse off than I am in terms of his LMS. He's like 5'5", and otherwise he looks pretty much like me, but a little worse jawline. So he's actually worse off in a lot of ways. But he managed to meet a girl he was working at a pharmacy, and he managed to meet this girl that was from Cambodia, I believe. And as a result, he was able to get this girl as a GF, even though, if you look at him on paper, there's no way he would be able to get anywhere. And he didn't with like Canadian girls, let's say. So ironically, Now this is starting to become a problem because of all the men that we're importing mostly from India, because it's pretty much only men because of their birth rate issue. Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, we are good.
Okay, somebody said my mic is quiet. Now
Maybe,
Canada,
maybe a little bit.
yeah, well, no, he's mogging me because he's doing better than I was at his age, because he's 12 years younger than me. So he just turned 20. And he's actually mogging me because of this access to Southeast Asian girls that I didn't have when I was his age, because we didn't have the same demographics in the city that I grew up in. So yeah, anyways, I just wanted to mention that does play a role. These like if we didn't have this immigration system that's screwed up in many ways, he would probably still be single. That's just the ironic thing about it.
Okay. So I guess it's kind of life fuel to know that this didn't happen in like 2013, you know?
Yeah. Oh, hey,
Happened pretty
Darzog,
recently.
you don't have to donate. Like it's entirely if you're able to. I get it because Canada's like a third world country now. So I get the frustration. Just yeah, if you guys can like, subscribe, and share, that would be great. Donate if you want to super chat and I'll read it. But there's no obligation to. So anyways, yeah. Is there anything else you guys want to pick up on?
Well, this topic, it's unlimited of substance to talk about. Did we forget anything, Aibo?
I think we covered most issues. I'm still suspicious about how the politics of these countries is going to evolve as the demographics get worse. We're already seeing Japan starting to become a lot less foreigner friendly, actually, largely because of how their currency depreciation has resulted in a lot of tourists that really are not high quality people getting into the country and causing problems. I see no reason why that wouldn't continue as time goes on, like, especially as these countries become wealthier per capita, the men will be able to voice their opposition more. Actually, here, I'll see if I can link this. Hold on.
You also need to remember,
return to the regulations, travel regulations back from mid-90s, where you can stay as a tourist only 1 week and you have to show them proof of income. And this is the way they weed out the undesirable nuance streamers and like stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, but yes, the nuance streamers are a massive pain in the ass. That's another one.
Do remember that, like, on average, Westerners will be more agentic than the locals in most of these countries. So even if they do make up a small group, and even if they're like the dregs of the Western society, like locally, they can end up causing quite a bit of an issue.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. We'll see. Here's a little graphic that I made. Right, Darzog's bragging about his Asian GF. He's flexing on us. It's brutal. Well, wait a minute. You guys, you're Hungarian, right? So you basically are entitled to an Asian woman, at least one of them. It's like the Uralic thing.
Yeah, because they are Huns.
Yeah, exactly. It's over.
Attila, the king of the Huns.
I don't know, man. I've been watching this debate between Darzog and Zoltan in the comments here. It's kind of funny, but I mean, it's just, the way I look at it, like, we as men, we have a lot more problems in common than we have in opposition to each other.
Yes.
I do know a lot of Eastern European guys. I've mentioned this before. Eastern Europe used to be one of the number one locations in like the 90s for boomers and the generation before boomers to try and find women. You know, after the Soviet Union collapsed, there was this huge, you know, because now these women are available and the situation is a disaster in the Soviet Union. You know,
you should have better been gone before to Eastern as a Western European guy. You should have gone to Eastern Europe before the Russian system collapsed, before communism collapsed. Yeah, because once there are statistics on this, once like Eastern Europe, right, abandoned communism, it took them only a few years to drop their birth rates. Yeah, and they were pretty much westernized. Yeah, and it only took them, I think, like 3 or 4 years or something until Eastern Europe reached below replacement level, and now they are basically almost have the same birth rates like the Western Europeans. So
the birth rate was like gone a long time before communism fell.
okay, makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you should have gone there before communism fell.
Take a look at this. This is interesting.
Yeah.
This is
Shame on you people for not going there in like 1925.
Yeah, well, 1925, not everyone could afford flying with an airplane. Yeah. But anyway, so as I said, Vietnam reminds me somewhat of the old communist Eastern European countries, regarding like how they mate and how they date. So yeah, it's a shame to be a single mom in that country, and it's not in Thailand, and it's not in Philippines.
Yeah. Well, you know, what's interesting is if you look at this map that I found, and it's showing the areas where men go as expats versus where women go more. And it actually gives you an idea of what locations are starting to get tapped out. Because it's kind of like looking at the market, right? The whole point of the market is to predict what's going to happen next, right? You're not supposed to jump in at the time when something is already really popular, because it only has down to go after that. So what you want to do is look at this.
I mean, it can plateau for a while, or you can jump in quicker than it can decline.
Well, that's the theory, but it still will give you, if you're looking for a long-term solution, like you want to stay in a country for like 10 years down the line, let's say, or like you want to have a semi-permanent stay there, it'll give you an idea of what the situation is. And okay, Russia's in a unique situation due to the war, but you can look at the other countries. These are a lot of Eastern European countries you see, you know? And what do we know about Eastern Europe now is that, other than having to deal with these expats that are coming in and pestering the local women, we already know that it is completely tapped out at this point. Like, it's a meme at this point, that the Eastern European trad wife, nobody takes it seriously anymore, because everybody knows what that actually means, you know?
Yes. You could go to Ukraine, and even in Ukraine, a country in war at the moment, you won't fight. Even there, the women are not trad anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like a 50-50. It's what I was talking about in the beginning. Like, as a Westerner, you will not find the trad women. That's like the issue. The trad women won't even look at the Westerner like twice. If you speak only English or don't speak the local language well, like you are not even contesting that woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, as to how many of those are left, I can't speak on that subject, but it's just a case that as an expat or a foreigner, like, you're just not finding those women. That's not something that's going to happen.
I can give you a short. The experience I made is, well, before geomaxxing to Dubai and to Asia, right? I was geomaxxing in Europe, right? There is some benefits of doing this because everywhere you pay with the euro. Yeah, you are insured. Once you are a member of any EU state, your insurance is valid in the other EU state, right? You can be there without visa, right, and so on and so on. And I was in Portugal, I was in Spain, and I was in Romania, and I was in Hungary. So I found the dating to be as bad as it was in Western Europe, where I'm from. There's it's slightly better. So imagine instead of getting an overweight single mom with 3 kids in Western Europe, in Romania, Hungary, Spain, or Portugal, you'll get a overweight single mom with only 2 kids instead of 3 kids. So that's the difference. It's totally marginal, and it's not worth it. There you go.
Yeah, a good rule of thumb I found is that the Catholic ones, or what you can call like Central Europe, quote unquote, is 10 to 15 years behind culturally at best, and the rest are like 15 to 20
Makes
in terms
sense.
of like all the trends.
Yeah.
And if you that's like the society at large, but if you're looking at the Zoomers and probably the millennials too, it's gonna be closer to like 10 to 15.
Yeah, and that's why I say Vietnam is probably even 30 years behind or 40 years, and again, it's frowned upon. You're ashamed if you are a single mom, right? And the people I know here who have Vietnamese wives, okay, granted, many of them are boomers or millennials or whatever, right? But they are still married, and so if you looking for a wife, you want to settle down, but then again, of course, if you would stay there, right, and not bring her to the West, because the women all over the world, the new generations are much more loose than the older generations. But I still think there is still this societal pressure there, right? To not become a single mom, and when you can be there, however, working as an English teacher or remote job or whatever, I think you have a pretty good chance there to have a marriage and kids, and a long lasting one. So this is what I had the experience, I think. And also in Vietnam, of course, because they have much fewer tourists, they also pay you more. So in Bangkok, in Thailand, as an English teacher, your average would be somewhat of $1,000, €1,000, which again, that's my monthly cost, and I'm having a Western lifestyle. Yeah, pretty much. You will not be able to save much, of course, unless you live more like a Thai than a Westerner. Yeah, but who wants to do this?
That's another.
Yeah,
that is another thing. Like in most of the countries outside of the West, a very good strategy that many people do actually use, many locals, is that if you work for a foreign company, especially like something that's in STEM, you just work for a foreign company and live domestically, because they will pay you a lower wage, but like that wage is still much higher than what you would make locally.
much higher, right? Exactly. So and then in Vietnam, you'll get $1,500, €1,500 a month, right, for an English teacher. Plus the cost of living, food, renting, and everything is even cheaper than in Thailand. So in Vietnam, you'll get $500 or euros more every month, right, as an English teacher, and so you will be able to save probably half of it, right? And so that's, let's say, 600, I don't know, €700 dollars every month, right? And that's because they don't have as much foreigners as Thailand. So what I know, they even take non-Anglos, non-English natives as English teachers, as long as you can prove them in a video chat interview, that you are fluid in speaking English. You will get a job as an English teacher in Vietnam without being one of these Anglo countries, right? Like Canada, South Africa, USA, England, Australia, etc.
Yeah.
A friend of me and Mehdi, his name on Discord, Max Hardcore, Max. He just got a job as an English teacher in Vietnam, right? And he is basically a Turkish guy from Germany. So he's a non-native. He's not an Anglo, you see? So
he's
it's
a double
possible.
non-native speaker, Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. But his English is as fluid as ours. Obviously, it's not perfect like Mercer's, yeah, but he got the job as an English teacher in Vietnam. I talked to him recently. He earns above $1,000 per month, and Vietnam is even cheaper than Thailand, so he can even save a few $100s every month. There you go.
Yeah, and it's a unique
Not
situation in terms of passports, right? Because we have
yeah.
a guy in our server who's Ukrainian, and he has certain issues with where he can go due to his visa. And we were having conversations about this. Like, what would be a better situation strategically for him to, like, should he go for like a Russian passport or a Ukrainian passport? And what would be better? And Vietnam has a lot more open channels to Russia than most of
Yes,
these other
true.
countries. On the other hand, I mean, it's more difficult to get into these countries with a visa from somewhere like Ukraine or even Russia, other than Vietnam. You know, because they do tend to have, you know, places like Thailand. They're much more leaning towards the EU and towards the United States and Anglosphere for visa preferences. You know, it could be more difficult. I remember that's something that we talked
So
about.
imagine, yeah, that's true. It's easier for Russians to get a visa in Vietnam than for Westerners. So I met a
Okay,
lot of
hold on.
Ukrainians.
I will say that just SEA is actually simping for, well, for the BRICS, and you know, the
Mhm.
orcs happen to be inside BRICS, which means basically NATO countries we are now seen as somewhat undesirable. It's very hard to explain on this live stream, but yeah, strategically right now, like, Russians
Yeah,
have a
I don't know how
bigger
long that's gonna
value
last,
in
though,
Asia.
Corey. I wonder how long that's gonna
What?
last. Because they could, like, these countries don't have loyalties, right? They have interests. So you just have to wonder, um, especially if China starts to throw its weight around, because China is terrible at diplomacy. They have a tendency to piss off all their neighbors. So it makes you
That's
wonder, you
true.
know, like they're probably going to stay on the knife edge of this stuff, where they could lean to either side. Like, that's, if I were
It,
running a
it, it
country in Southeast Asia, that's what I would do.
it's just a numbers game. Those Russians and Chinese and also Indians, I mean, they had economic growth. There are more enriched people now. They can leave the countries, right? They have a higher salaries now, especially the Chinese. So it's a numbers game. Like this, yeah, it's happening since 20 years. Before, you rarely saw tourists from China or India. Now it's full of them everywhere you go. Yeah. So it's a numbers game, basically.
Yeah, we had tons of them from
Of
China.
course, they are also in proximity, right? I don't know, a flight from, well, China and India is super near. That's a 1 or 2 hour flight, and even from Russia, I think it's a 5 hour flight to Thailand. So yeah, of course, they have the money now, and of course they are closer. So of course, a lot of people will come. Yeah,
Yeah, it's true. It's a good point. All right, somebody
yeah,
asked me
and
something.
also like, yeah, go on.
I was gonna say, somebody asked me, how did you learn to become so detached? And yeah, I did answer that on Raymond's stream, but I didn't like my answer, to be quite honest with you. I think I could have done better with the answer. So I'm gonna give you a quick recap of, or like a recapitulation of my answer, where it sounds a little more compelling. We're told all the time that the issues that we're dealing with are entirely our fault, and that
Yes.
because we're not able to either strive to be in the top 10, 15% of whatever, you know, whether we're talking economics, whether we're talking dating, etc., it's an individual problem. It's not a problem that can be pointed. You can't point to any other factors outside of yourself. And to me, that felt like, well, if you're telling me that this is my fault, and no matter what I'm doing right now, I can't overcome this. This is sort of what causes depression in people. You become depressed because you see a situation that is insurmountable, and you're not able to achieve what your needs are, no matter what you do. And to me, that was just not good enough. I wasn't going to allow that to happen. So I started to look in, okay, what are the alternative explanations for what's going on here? Because I refuse to accept that this is entirely my fault. You know, like, if I investigate and I find no other alternative answer to this, then it is entirely my fault. I'll accept that. But I'm going to look into it first and see what I can find. And that's sort of my coping mechanism, I suppose, is just trying to figure out what's going on, understand the systemic causes that are not things that you can boil down to individuals or boil down to groups that are conspiring, which is not to deny that those things exist, they do, but try to understand these systemic causes that could be resulting in this. Because it's like, I'm not that old. I can remember in real time how radically different things were, 10, 15 years ago. Like half my uncles are manlets, like they're like sub 5'7". None of them had issues finding women, and I have photos from my mother's collection from like the 1980s, and you can see everybody's ugly as fuck. Like they just look like shit. And it's like, well, wait a minute, how these guys look like trash, but they're able to get all these women and have no issues with it. There's clearly something different. And the boomers pull the same shit on us that they pull when it comes to the economy, where they act as if it's a personal agency issue. You're just not trying hard enough. And just like with the economy, how that's not the actual reason, is the same when it comes to dating. It's a systemic issue that they try and pass off as a personal issue so they don't have to address it. Anyways, that's the end of that.
Well
spiel.
said.
Very
I
good
have nothing to
explanation.
add, so I'm gonna log off because I have nothing to add. But very well said, Mercer.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yes,
It was great having you.
that's what it is. They make it a personal issue, so they don't. So yeah, it's Mercer. This is count as an ad hominem attack because, right, as you said, they are attacking your personal attributes.
Yeah, to some extent, but it's also attacking the entire generation. You know what it makes me think? Like, I know that like Twitter/X is not everybody pays attention to it, which is probably a good thing because it's kind of like mental cancer in a lot of ways. But one thing I remember is during Christmas, there was the Elon crash out over H-1Bs in the US. And then there was another crash out that happened where it was one of these Heritage Foundation think tank people who, now they're like the free market think tank people in the United States. And he was like, you can go to Panda Express and you can get a job as a manager in Panda Express and they'll pay like $60,000 a year. And so these people that don't have college degrees or that their college degrees are becoming worthless, they have nothing to complain about. And then the guys showed that, oh, actually there are H-1Bs for Panda Express managers that are being processed that you can actually look up on a website. And you realize that there are entire careers that are built around rationalizing what's happening so that they don't have to do something about it. Like there are people getting paid full time to think out ways. That's why they call them think tanks. Think out ways to explain away these issues so that government can avoid the problem, or other members of society can avoid the problem, or that people don't act collectively to address the issue because it's actually a class issue. It's not an individual issue. That's what really pissed me off about that. That's actually one of the things that got me into wanting to make videos again, because this was I think this happened in winter last year, so this is before I made my first video again, and there were people sort of nudging me to make more videos. And I thought, you know what, somebody has to say this because nobody else is talking about this. You have people that talk about it on the race issue, where they'll make it about like in the U.S. it'll be like white people versus black people, Hispanic people, whatever, or immigrants. And I'm sympathetic in some ways to a lot of that. I mean, like look what's happening in Canada. I'm sympathetic in a lot of ways, but at the same time, this is not just that issue, because if you were to eliminate all of these outsiders and you were to say you get your ethno-state back, you send them all home, there's still structural problems that you have to address. And if you just ignore that and you deal with this other problem, but you leave this one alone, it's not gonna solve the issue. Like, it's like I'm on my own. My younger brother would be completely on his own because he's like 5'5" and the Zoomer average height is like 6'1" or something. Like what are we gonna do? Like, what are we gonna do with these guys? Somebody has to talk about it. Nobody's talking about it.
We'll ever talk about it. Come on, like seriously.
Yeah.
It's part of it's actually propaganda, because what's the goal of propaganda? The goal of propaganda is always to make people act against their own self-interests, right? So, yeah, those think tanks are coming with excuses, as you said, for the government to give you an explanation, to give you an excuse. Many people are really that stupid and still believe it, yeah, and therefore act against it, because like, how can you like, why would you act against your self interest, right? Against your best self interest. So they really literally convince you with this to take an ideology which is man-made, because deep down you don't need an ideology, you know what is your best interest, and you are not having it, and therefore they present you an explanation which is just like a workaround. It's just like an explanation, it's not a truth, yeah, it's an excuse for the government, for the politicians, as Bursa said. Yeah, that's what you get. You get a lie so that everything can continue. Yeah, so
exactly. You know, and I do feel like pushing this off for, on an individual level, I think SEAmaxxing is a good thing for us. You know, it helps us, but it is also passing the buck onto these other guys that will have to deal with the competition. And then also, it's not a long-term solution for our countries. You know, this is something that I am sympathetic to as well. And this was like the main pushback I got from my earlier videos, was like, oh, well, you just want to give up and abandon your country. I'm not really saying that, but at the same time, even if we were to solve all of these issues tomorrow, like, how does this help? Like, do you guys remember that that post that what's his name made? I'm trying to think of his name. Ho Math. You know, Ho Math made a post where he was like, I'm 40 and I don't have any kids. I don't have any game plan to get a woman that will have children with me at this point. Like, there's no solution for me individually. And I sympathize with that, because it looks like I'm heading that direction. You know? I don't know. And a lot of us are like that. Even if we can diagnose the problem and provide a solution for the society, we can't necessarily include ourselves in that, because we won't benefit from it. You know?
I don't know. I think that like geomaxxing and all that sort of stuff, it's a coward's way out. It's claiming you're like a top league boxer because you can beat up the whole middle school. You know, I know many people disagree, and I know why they do it, and like I can sympathize. But at the end of the day, just because it's a solution for you doesn't mean you should take it. Like, you going to Southeast Asia is just contributing to the problem.
Well, it's contributing to the problem for them. You know, and you know,
no, it is contributing to the problem for everyone, because like the problem at the end of the day is the fact that no one wants to get up and fix anything really.
Then you can try. Well, you can try
like living for Southeast Asia is not trying to fix the problem.
Okay, you can try. Okay, let's see. Try to fix it. I was trying to fix it. I'm very vocal about my opinions at times, yeah? And what did I get? Nothing but hate from normies, yeah? If you want to try to fix it, do it, yeah? You'll see what you get. And then why shouldn't you change your location, right? Like, I mean, why not? There is people doing this because they find a job in another part of the world, and they go there and they stay there and marry a local woman, whatever, right? So I can tell you, I would go there even if, let's say, there would be no women there. I would still go there, just because, again, the weather is better, the food is better, the people are friendlier. I can live a peaceful life there, you know, and not be surrounded by this Western brain rot. Yeah. Seriously, I was thinking about this, and I would go there even if there would be no women would be there in Thailand or wherever. I would still choose to live there. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get that, and like I know what I'm gonna get for anything I try. It's I don't know.
Yeah. And then
I guess you just don't understand yet. You know, I will need to get burned before.
Well, I gotta inject a little bit, because I know the situation's a little bit different from Europe compared to the Anglosphere, but I can tell you from firsthand experience where we don't have a national identity the way that you guys do in Europe. Our countries are kind of like artificial constructs that were created and that never really had the chance to fill out and develop into something independent. like nobody really feels like a Canadian, for example. Like my family's been here for 350 years on my father's side and over 200 years on my mother's side, but I still don't feel like I'm part of this nation, you know. And I think a lot of us feel that way. And as I said, I'm one of the oldest settler families as far as this goes, like French and English and Scottish and whatever. I can only imagine what it's like for people that are being that whose parents have come over from in like the 1970s, the 1980s, and that they're second generation or third generation. You know, there's no willpower to solve this problem because they see that the first person that stands up and does something is going to get chopped down, and nobody wants to be that guy. And this is, by the way, this is another problem I have with right-wing politics and right-wingers, is that none of them are the kind of people that will do personal sacrifice for the greater good. Like they're not idealistic people. They typically are like gritty, cynical, hard-nosed people, which, you know, in a lot of ways, these are valuable personality traits, but they're not the personality traits you need if you are trying to save your country from a foreign domination. You know, you need people that are idealistic, that are willing to sacrifice. And really, you only see that on the left these days. Like I'm thinking of the students that were going out to protest, even though they knew that they were going to be put on a blacklist and basically made unemployable, despite having to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for their educations. You know, like, and I'm not saying that I agree with their politics, but I can admire their psychology. I can admire that way of thinking. And also that guy that set himself on fire to do the Palestine protest. I'm like, I wish that we could have people like that on our side. You know?
I think that you give left more credit in that department, at least, than they're due. I think a lot of their bravery is just knowing that like the police won't fight back.
Well, yeah, but think about it though. You had a guy that attempted to shoot Donald Trump and got himself killed in the process. And you have another guy that lit himself on fire to protest Palestine. You don't see that on the right wing for right wing causes because it's like they're just a lot more self-oriented, you know. And I think that you will see that kind of identitarian nationalism in Europe eventually. I don't think it's going to happen in the Anglosphere. In the Anglosphere, a lot of us are just going to be like, we just want to get out of here.
It is hard. It is hard to imagine it for like all the Anglosphere settler countries because at the end of the day, they all function as an empire, not as a nation. I don't think America could have ever.
I wish we were an empire.
No. What I mean is, you know, this is not like an empire in the sense that you rule the world or like half a continent or whatever. It's an empire just in the sense that it's several nations under one roof. Now, depending on like how much each nation exerts influence, you can call it like a confederacy or an empire. I think it's more apt to probably call them empires because like still it's most nations within it getting oppressed or like some I don't know what to call it, but like the state of matter is that each of them is like countless nations with incredibly poorly defined borders. Like you know, you would get let's say like some Scottish people would go over from Scotland and then like one would settle, let's say, in Virginia, then like a bunch would settle in Kentucky, then move like a state over a few more, and then a state over a few more, and so on and so forth. However, they still would form like a continuous nation, not with Scotland necessarily, but like with other settlers within it. And they do act within the interests of that nation, and they still form like a singular entity in a way. However, they're all spread out and melded with different nations just based on like where they are. I don't know if you understand like what I'm trying. I think you get it. I'm just poorly explaining it.
Yeah, I just the way I see things going, it's just like the SEAmaxxing and Latin America maxing. I think that SEAmaxxing is going to be more of a European phenomenon just because it's geographically closer. For Americans, Latin America may be more accessible just because, you know, it's
Latin America is in terms of prospects, it's not that much better than like Eastern Europe.
I would say it depends. It depends on your own background.
No, I'm just telling you, like demographically, it's not that much better than Eastern Europe.
Well, if we're talking about average age, it's much younger than Eastern Europe on average. Like there's no question. The average age is a
I
lot
might be
lower
remembering wrong then.
in Latin America, and I do think that makes a difference. But it is changing, and
No,
it
that does
will
obviously
change.
make a
Inevitably, it will change. All of these countries will. And you can see Peru and Mexico are on the list here of birth rate decline in relationship formation. You can see all of them are going down. You know?
Oh yeah.
This is a universal phenomenon.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is something that's quite temporary.
Yeah. I need to leave. It's late here. I have something more to add. Yeah. And it's a topic from before.
Yeah.
Okay, Big Cheese, I'm gonna say something now. Please don't be offended. This is not a personal attack. Yeah. But what
Okay.
you said, sorry, it's not like that. I just wanna wake people up here. I was gonna take people to prioritize themselves over such thoughts or the ideas we get in the West, right? Okay, so you said I go there to Thailand, right? And it's bad for the Thai men because I take one of their women. Yeah, I would
I
agree
didn't
on
say
it.
that.
It's totally. Because you said something similar, right?
No.
So
I mean that is true, but like that, I didn't really. That's not the part that concerns me. The part that concerns me is that you going there means that like you're not doing anything to help the situation at home.
yeah, okay, good. I also understand this. Yeah, okay. Again, like I do this nowadays. I learned one thing. Yeah, we had the C virus crisis, and half of you guys out there, or half of the population, learned nothing out of it. Yeah, you are constantly blamed and shamed in the West, and you learned nothing from it, and you still behave the same way like you behaved 10 or 20 years ago. And I'm pointing at you. I'm pointing at half of the chat. I don't care. You can be fucking offended. You can call me a egoist or whatever. I don't care. I do what is best for me, and so should you, okay? And when I go there, yes, I'm one person leaving the West, yeah? And obviously, I'm not contributing and cannot change anything here anymore, yeah? But I couldn't do before. I go there because it's best for me. While in the West, nothing you do is best for you, okay? And half of you guys should stop coping, yeah, and coming up with excuses why you can't go there and just get a remote job, bro. Just go to the gym, bro. And all of this stupidity, all of this stupid fuckery, yeah, and get it together. Because else nothing will change. You will be stuck in the same fucking place and in the same fucking mindset without a girlfriend, without a social life, yeah? And you won't change nothing. Because why? You've been educated to not take care of yourself, of the things that to act in yourself, in your best self-interest, yeah? And this is what I'm doing. I don't care. Yeah, I go there. Yeah, I don't participate in the West anymore. I may take a woman from there, which is one woman less for the local man. Yeah, but sorry, like, how am I benefiting staying in the West? How? Tell me. So I'm acting. Yeah, you wanna complain? You wanna theorize? You wanna say you are by it's not a good solution, you are leaving the West, yeah, you will change nothing. I cannot change anything. This system outright told me that I'm an unwanted person. I'm saying toxic masculinity, white guilt, yeah, our ancestors, yeah, they were colonizing the world, taking advantage of other people. Hell no. None of my ancestors was a royal, yeah, or a member of the East Indian Trading Company or something. So stop telling me this bullshit, yeah? And stop blaming me as a man. Stop telling me I'm not stepping up, yeah? I'm we are not trying hard enough. All of this is not in your best self-interest. By me leaving this system, which constantly blames me and puts the guilt on me, and we all know it's not true, yeah? By leaving this system and going to another system where at least I'm appreciated by some of the women there, and I have a social life, and I feel happy, and I feel 10 or 15 years younger, yeah? Okay, you stay in your place, accept it, yeah, and continue. We all know it's shit. It's not about this. It's not about complaining, okay? We all know. We all know it's broken, yeah? But at least I'm taking action. I'm doing something, yeah? And okay, yeah, I'm taking a woman from there. That's one less woman for the local guys, yeah? But that's the best thing I can do. So that's why I'm the opinion that geomaxxing at the moment is the only possible solution. I'm sorry to say. I'm looking out for myself because with your Western system, how broken it is, you get literally brainwashed and indoctrinated to do the opposing thing, yeah, which is not the best for your own self, yeah. Okay, so I said there was a little rant here, yeah. Probably you guys understand. Probably you will never understand, yeah. So that's your thing. Act on it or just ignore it and do nothing and complain about it. It's always comes down to this. You can ask me 100 times, how do I do? What's the job? How is it? Where do I start? It's literally just do it, yeah? Just do it. You just start and then you see how it goes. You go there 3 weeks, you like it, you try to stay, you find a job there, you find a remote job. It's not impossible, it's doable, it's hard, I know, but you do something, yeah? You could go to the gym, okay, improve your body, your looks by a little bit, right? You could go to Turkey for a plastic surgery, get a hairline, okay? So you are not a bald cell anymore. Improves your look a little bit. That's also an action you are taking. So why can't you not geomax? Yeah? Why? Why is that? Yeah, probably you're just too comfortable. You don't really want to change anything. You are talking big about changing the West. No way that's gonna happen. And they told you. For centuries.
Wants to offer a solution that is practical and that'll work. If somebody wants to rise up and lead the army, I would be more than happy to support them. But you know, you have to put yourself first.
Well, that's the issue, and I'm very angry when I hear people say that, because like that's the problem I've been facing for the last 10 months now almost. What's the issue? The issue is, as long as everyone says there is nothing we can do, nothing will be done. Like, that's the problem. If everyone who said there's nothing we can do did anything, literally like one thing, something could be changed. Like that is my problem. And also like the issue, if someone were to like start a revolution, whatever, like if no one, if who then not you, if when then not now, like I think that's like a quote or something, which is basically if no one else is doing it, it's like it is up to you.
Well,
and like it is
it's up to the person that has,
I don't know what the,
it's up to the person that has the most genuine feeling towards that. Like in my case, Canada is as valuable as a resource hub, but in terms of the land, I mean, my people never fought a war to gain independence for this land. We've never had a sovereign state in the true sense of the word. So really what happens here is just a function of what America allows, you know? So I think it varies based on the country. If we were talking about like Great Britain, like I have a personal attachment to the United Kingdom. I would want, if I saw there was a genuine movement to liberate
Mercer, you have no connection to anywhere. You have spent 200 years, like at least in Canada. Like,
well, no, my grandmother is English. Like she came over from England, so I do have direct family members that are in England now. So it would be different in that case, but. Yeah, like I don't feel any personal attachment to France, for example, even though my father's side is ethnically French, because I have no linguistic connections. I never learned French growing up. It's a foreign language.
But like again,
you are like you are a mutt basically. Like you're a mix of bunch of different Europeans. Like you are
it's
you are more
just
Canadian.
English and French pretty much, and Scottish.
That's I will be honest. That's like a bad combo, but
Yeah. There was
like
this guy. I think I may have mentioned it on one of my streams, and he's like a quarter Polish, a quarter German, a quarter French, and a quarter English. And I was like, you realize that all of your
Jesus
ancestors
Christ.
were perpetually at war with each other? Isn't that kind of funny?
Yeah,
But yeah,
that is horrible. You need to embrace your English side and just dominate the others.
well, the thing is,
but no, like if no one,
I'm embracing my personal self-interests, and my self-interests are not to.
I do think that ultimately, ultimately, it is within your self-interest for to do what is in the interest of like your closer collective.
Yeah, see,
Like
this is the argument that I've heard multiple times, where it's like, well, it's like allo parenting that you see in the monkey world, where it's like, yeah, you won't reproduce or contribute genetically, but like people that
No,
are
I don't mean in that
related
sense.
to you on the
I
phylogenetic
do
tree
still
web.
think that.
And I'm like, listen, bro, you have one consciousness. Okay, if your life is a study, it has an end count of one. Like there's only one subject of this entire existence, and once you're gone, okay, I'm not saying that there's no afterlife. I don't know, but we can be sure that whatever happens in the future is not going to be what you've gone through so far. So you shouldn't live your life in a meaningless way where you sacrifice for something that you're not going to get any kind of personal enjoyment out of or experience out of.
No, this is not what I mean. Like what I mean is that like it is in your personal interest not to like shit in the well, and it is also in your personal interest to like fix the well and then not break it after one use. Like
if people want to do that, if people are truly invested in retaking these countries and creating like nation states out of them again, that's fine. But I'm personally not that invested in it. I'll support it if they do it, but I'm not going to stick my neck out. Anyways, we got to end the stream because we're actually bumping up to 3 hours now. I really appreciate though you coming on, and even if we disagree, I'm sorry guys for the issues with the bit rate and with the buffering. I didn't think that we'd have this issue, so this is something that I'm going to fix in the future. Either I'm going to use StreamYards, or I'm just going to fix my network issue because my network card does need to be replaced. So yeah, it's been great, guys. So I'll talk